Ryan Carter pressed himself against the hallway wall, heart hammering in his chest. Through the barely cracked door of Olivia Hayes's corner office, he heard something that made his blood run cold. Not anger, not frustration, but something far worse. His boss, the woman who commanded boardrooms full of men twice her age, the CEO who'd built a tech company from nothing by age 28, was crying. Not the careful, controlled tears of someone who knew they were being watched. These were the raw, desperate sobs of someone who thought they were completely alone. "I'll do anything," she whispered into her phone, her voice cracking. "Anytime, just tell me what I need to prove. She's 7 years old and she's been through 3 homes already. I'm her family. I'm all she has left." The line went quiet. Then Olivia made a sound Ryan had never heard from her, a broken gasp that seemed to pull all the air from the room. Ryan stood frozen, his hand still gripping the quarterly reports he'd stayed late to finish. For 3 years, he'd worked as Olivia's operations manager. For 3 years, he'd watched her move through the world like she was made of something harder than the rest of them. And for 3 years, he'd been quietly, desperately in love with a woman who barely seemed to notice he existed outside of spreadsheets and strategy meetings. But this was someone drowning. Before we go any further, I want to invite you on this journey with me. If this story speaks to you, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's dive in. 3 years earlier, Ryan Carter had walked into Hayes Technologies with a decent resume, a 6-year-old daughter at home, and absolutely no idea that his life was about to get infinitely more complicated. The interview had been straightforward, professional, the kind where both parties knew exactly what they were getting. Him, a stable job with reasonable hours that let him pick Emma up from school. Them, an experienced operations manager who wouldn't require hand-holding. What Ryan hadn't expected was Olivia Hayes herself to conduct the final interview. She'd been 25 then, fresh off a Forbes 30 Under 30 feature that had plastered her face across half the tech blogs in the country. Ryan had done his research. Stanford dropout. First company sold at 22. Second company, Hayes Technologies, already valued at $50 million and climbing. The articles called her brilliant, ruthless, a force of nature. They didn't mention that she had a laugh that sounded like broken glass, or that she chewed her bottom lip when she was thinking, or that she wore the same silver watch every single day, scratched, worn, clearly old enough to mean something. "Your previous position ended 8 months ago," she'd said, scanning his resume without looking up. "That's a significant gap." "My daughter needed me home for a while." That had made her look up. Her eyes were gray, sharp enough to cut. "Most people don't put their careers on hold for childcare. They hire nannies. Most people aren't single parents who actually want to know their kids." The corner of her mouth had twitched. Not quite a smile, but something adjacent to approval. "Fair enough. The position requires occasional late nights. Can you manage that?" "As long as I have advance notice and the work matters, yes." "Everything here matters, Mr. Carter. I don't keep dead weight." She'd hired him on the spot. The first year had been exactly what he'd expected. Long days, complex problems, and a boss who demanded excellence but rewarded it fairly. Olivia ran the company like a finely tuned machine, and she expected everyone around her to function the same way. She was fair. She was brilliant. She was also completely, utterly alone. Ryan noticed things other people missed. It came with being a single parent. You learn to read the small signs, the shifts in energy, the unspoken needs. He noticed that Olivia ate lunch at her desk every single day, usually whatever was fastest rather than what was good. He noticed that she never talked about plans for the weekend, never mentioned friends or family, never left early for anything that wasn't a business obligation. He noticed that she was lonely, even if she'd probably die before admitting it. "You don't have to stay late every time I do," she'd said one evening, about 6 months into his employment. It was past 8. The office was empty except for them. Ryan looked up from his laptop. "I'm not staying because you are. I'm staying because this forecast needs to be finished before the board meeting." "Still, you have a daughter." "She's at her grandmother's tonight. It's fine." Olivia had studied him for a moment, her expression unreadable. "You're a good father." "I try to be." "That's more than most people manage." She'd turned back to her screen then, effectively ending the conversation. But something had shifted between them that night. Not friendship, exactly, but recognition. Two people who understood what it meant to carry weight alone. The thing about working closely with someone for years is that you start to see past the armor. Ryan watched Olivia lead meetings with venture capitalists, her voice steady and sure, wielding data like a weapon. He watched her dismantle sexist investors with surgical precision, never losing her cool, never showing weakness. But he also watched her in the quiet moments between battles. The exhaustion that crept into her shoulders, the way she'd close her eyes for just a second before walking into the next fight. She was brilliant. She was unstoppable. She was also 28 years old and running on fumes. "Coffee?" Ryan would ask, appearing at her door with 2 cups around 3 p.m. most days. "You're a lifesaver," she'd mutter, accepting it without looking up from whatever crisis she was managing. It wasn't much, but it was something. Emma asked about his boss exactly once. "Is she nice?" Ryan had considered the question while making dinner. "She's complicated. That's what you say about me when I'm grumpy." "Well, you're both important to me, so maybe there's a pattern." Emma had giggled at that, and Ryan had let himself imagine, just for a second, what it might be like to have Olivia sitting at this table, laughing at his daughter's jokes, being part of something warm and real instead of always fighting alone. Then he'd push the thought away, because that wasn't his life. His job was to manage operations, deliver results, and keep his feelings to himself like a professional. Except feelings don't care much about professionalism. It happens slowly, the way these things always do. A shared look during a particularly absurd client call. Her rare, genuine laugh when he made a dry observation about their competitor's disastrous product launch. The time she'd asked, carefully casual, how Emma's dance recital went, because she'd remembered him mentioning it 2 weeks earlier. She forgot her steps halfway through and just started making up her own choreography, Ryan had said. The other parents were horrified. "I've never been prouder." Olivia had actually smiled at that, a real one, unguarded. "She sounds like you. Stubborn and improvisational? Brave enough to fake it when she doesn't know the answer." Ryan had felt something crack open in his chest, because that was the thing about Olivia. When she let you in, even an inch, it mattered. Every small moment felt like winning something precious and fragile. He never acted on it. How could he? She was his boss. She was brilliant and driven and destined for things far beyond his orbit. And more importantly, she'd never given him any indication that she saw him as anything other than a reliable employee who made decent coffee and didn't waste her time. So he stayed professional. He did his job. He went home to Emma and tried not to think about gray eyes and the way Olivia's voice softened when she was tired. And then, 2 years into working together, everything changed. It started with a phone call Olivia took in the middle of a strategy meeting. She glanced at her screen, went completely still, then excused herself without explanation. When she came back 15 minutes later, her face was carefully blank in a way that made Ryan's instinct scream warning. "We'll pick this up tomorrow," she'd said, her voice flat. "I need to handle something." The team had filtered out, shooting curious looks at each other. Ryan had been halfway to the door when Olivia spoke again. "Ryan, stay a minute." He'd turned back. She was standing at the window, her back to him, shoulders rigid. "Is everything okay?" "My sister died." The words came out clinical, matter of fact. "Car accident, 3 days ago, apparently. I just got the call from her lawyer." Ryan's breath caught. "Olivia, Jesus, I'm so sorry." "We weren't close." She still hadn't turned around. "I hadn't spoken to her in 4 years. She made her choices and I made mine, but she had a daughter, 7 years old, Mia." "Where is she now?" "Foster care. Emergency placement while they figure out permanent custody." Olivia's reflection in the window was perfectly composed. Too composed. "There's no father in the picture, no other family except me. The lawyer says if I want to pursue guardianship, I need to file immediately." Ryan took a careful step forward. "Do you want to?" Finally, she turned. Her eyes were dry, but something in them looked raw. "I don't know. I work 70-hour weeks. I live alone in a condo that's basically an office with a bed. I can barely keep a plant alive. What the hell do I know about raising a child?" "More than the system does." "That's not exactly a high bar." Ryan studied her face, the tension in her jaw, the way her hands were clenched at her sides. This wasn't the Olivia Hayes who commanded boardrooms. This was someone terrified and trying desperately not to show it. "Can I tell you something?" he asked quietly. "Please?" When Emma's mom left, I was 26 years old, working 60 hours a week in consulting, and I had absolutely no idea how to be a parent. I couldn't braid hair. I didn't know what normal bedtimes were. I once called my mother in tears because Emma wouldn't eat anything except orange crackers for 3 straight days. He saw the smallest flicker of something in Olivia's expression. Being a parent isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. And if there's one thing you know how to do, it's show up. She was quiet for a long moment. "This isn't like running a company." "No, it's harder. But you're the most determined person I've ever met. If you decide to do this, you'll figure it out. And if I can't, then you'll have failed at something that matters, which is still better than not trying at all." Olivia closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had settled in her expression. Decision. "Okay, I need to file the petition. Can you clear my calendar for the next few days?" "Already done." That earned him a look, surprised, grateful. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not telling me this is crazy." Ryan smiled slightly. "Oh, it's definitely crazy. But most worthwhile things are." The legal process was brutal. Ryan watched from the sidelines as Olivia threw herself into guardianship proceedings with the same intensity she brought to product launches. Interviews with social workers, home inspections, background checks, financial statements, character references. She'd asked Ryan to be one of her references. He'd said yes without hesitation. "How long have you known Ms. Hayes?" the social worker had asked during their phone call. 2 years professionally. But I've seen her handle crisis situations that would break most people. She doesn't quit. She doesn't compromise when something matters, and this matters to her. What about her temperament? Does she have patience with others? Ryan had thought about that carefully. She has high standards, but she's fair. She invests in the people around her. I've seen her mentor junior employees, push them to be better, celebrate when they succeed. She doesn't suffer fools, but she cares deeply about people who are trying. And you think she's ready to be a parent? I think, Ryan had said slowly, that readiness is a myth. You either choose to do it or you don't. She's choosing. That's what counts. The process took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of Olivia running on even less sleep than usual, fighting a system designed to make everything as difficult as possible. Ryan helped where he could, researching child psychologists, finding family lawyers, handling the mountain of work matters she couldn't focus on while her entire future hung in the balance. "Why are you doing this?" she asked him one night. They were in her office again, long after everyone else had gone home. She looked exhausted, her hair falling out of its usual neat bun, shadows under her eyes. "Doing what?" "Helping me. This isn't in your job description." Ryan set down the filing he'd been reviewing. "Maybe I just think you deserve support." "Nobody deserves anything. We get what we fight for." "That's a bleak worldview." "It's a realistic one." She rubbed her eyes. "I'm sorry. That was harsh. I keep thinking about all the ways this could go wrong. What if they don't grant custody? What if they do and I'm terrible at it? What if she hates me?" "Then you deal with it, same way you deal with everything else." "I don't know how to be soft, Ryan. I don't know how to be the kind of person a scared little girl needs." That's when he realized what she was really afraid of. Not failure, not the system, but herself. "You don't have to be soft," he said quietly. "You have to be there. There's a difference." Olivia stared at him for a long moment. Then, so quietly he almost missed it. "I hope you're right." The call came on a Tuesday. Temporary guardianship approved, pending final evaluation after a trial period. Mia would be released to Olivia's care that Friday. Ryan was in the office when Olivia got the news. She took the call, listened, said, "Thank you," in a voice that barely shook, and hung up. Then she just stood there, staring at nothing. "Olivia?" "She's coming. Friday." "They're bringing her Friday. That's good. That's what you wanted." "I know." She looked at him, and for the first time since this whole thing started, he saw actual fear in her eyes. "I have 3 days to figure out how to be someone's guardian. 3 days to turn my life into something that looks like a home instead of a hotel room with good Wi-Fi. 3 days to become someone capable of taking care of a traumatized child who has every reason not to trust adults. Ryan crossed the room without thinking about it, stopping just short of touching her. "You're not doing this alone." "I have to be. That's the whole point. I have to prove I can handle this by myself." Proving you can handle something alone and actually being alone are different things. Let people help you. I don't have people, Ryan. I have employees and investors, and a board that's already questioning whether I can manage a child in a company. I have lawyers and social workers who are looking for any excuse to decide I'm not fit for this. I don't have She stopped, swallowed hard. I don't have the kind of life where people just show up because they care. That hurt more than it should have, because she actually believed it. This brilliant, fierce woman genuinely thought she was facing the biggest challenge of her life completely alone. "Then maybe it's time to build that life," Ryan said. She looked at him, something vulnerable flickering across her face. "I don't know how." "Start by accepting help when it's offered. I'm good with kids, my schedule is flexible, and Emma would probably love to meet someone new. Let me help you figure out the basics." "Please." "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm in love with you. Because watching you fight alone is killing me. Because you deserve someone in your corner who gives a damn about more than your stock value. Because it's the right thing to do," he said instead. Olivia studied him for a long moment, like she was trying to solve an equation that didn't quite add up. Then finally, "Okay, yes, thank you." The next 3 days were a blur of preparation that would have been comical if the stakes weren't so high. Olivia's condo, a sleek modern space that looked like something from an architecture magazine, needed to become child-friendly, fast. Ryan showed up Thursday morning with Emma in tow. His daughter took one look around and whispered, "Does anybody actually live here?" "We're going to fix that," Ryan said. They started with Mia's room. Olivia had bought furniture, a bed, a dresser, a desk, all beautiful and expensive and utterly impersonal. Ryan watched her arrange and rearrange everything, trying to make it look welcoming, getting more frustrated by the minute. "It looks like a hotel room," she finally said, defeated. Emma, who'd been exploring the space, spoke up. "It needs color and stuff." "Stuff?" "Yeah, like things that matter. My room has my drawings on the wall and the blanket Grandma made and my rock collection. This room doesn't have anything that means anything." Olivia looked at the 7-year-old with something close to wonder. "You're right, but I don't know what matters to Mia yet." "Then leave space for her to add it," Ryan suggested. "You can't make a home for someone you haven't met yet. You can just make room for them to build one." Something shifted in Olivia's expression. "That's actually helpful." They spent the rest of the day making the condo less like a showroom and more like a place where a child could exist. Emma helped pick out throw pillows, not gray ones, they're boring, and insisted they buy art supplies. Ryan assembled furniture while Olivia followed him around, clearly fighting the urge to micromanage. "You're doing it wrong," she said, when he was 3/4 done with the bookshelf. "I'm doing it differently than you would. There's a distinction. It's going to wobble." "It's not going to wobble." It wobbled slightly. Olivia gave him a look that managed to be both triumphant and exasperated. Emma laughed so hard she fell over. That night, after Emma had gone home with her grandmother, Ryan found Olivia sitting in the middle of Mia's new room, surrounded by instruction manuals and unopened boxes. "You okay?" he asked from the doorway. "I don't think I can do this." Ryan came in, sat down next to her on the floor. "Cold feet are normal." "This isn't cold feet. This is me realizing that I've spent my entire adult life optimizing systems and solving problems, and absolutely none of that prepares me for a traumatized 7-year-old who has no reason to believe any adult will ever keep their promises. So don't make promises you can't keep. What if the only promise that matters is the one I can't guarantee? What if she needs me to promise everything will be okay, and I can't do that because I don't know if it will be?" Ryan turned to look at her. In the soft light from the hallway, she looked younger, more uncertain than he'd ever seen her. "Then you promise what you can guarantee, that you'll show up, that you'll try, that you won't quit on her. What if I'm not enough?" "Olivia." He waited until she met his eyes. "You're brilliant, you're strong, and you're one of the most determined people I've ever met, but none of that is why you're going to be okay at this. You're going to be okay because you're scared, because you care enough to worry about getting it wrong. Parents who don't worry are the ones who screw it up. She was quiet for a moment. Then, how did you do it? After Emma's mother left? Ryan leaned back against the wall. Badly, at first. I was angry and hurt and completely overwhelmed. I made mistakes. A lot of them. I fed her chicken nuggets for dinner 3 nights in a row because I didn't have the energy to fight about vegetables. I let her watch too much TV because I needed 30 minutes of silence or I was going to lose my mind. I cried in the bathroom more times than I can count. That's not exactly encouraging. I'm not done. The thing I eventually figured out is that kids don't need perfect. They need present. Emma didn't care that I couldn't do her hair as well as her mom did, or that sometimes dinner was cereal, or that I had no idea what I was doing half the time. She cared that I was there. Every morning, every night, every scraped knee and bad dream and first day of school. I was there. Olivia's voice was very quiet. What if there isn't enough? It will be. I promise. She looked at him then, really looked at him, and Ryan saw the exact moment something changed in her expression. Like she was seeing him for the first time, or maybe seeing something she'd been trying not to notice for a long time. Ryan. His phone buzzed. Emma's grandmother. He glanced at it, sighed. I should go. Emma needs to be picked up. Of course, thank you, for today, for all of this. Any time. He stood, offered her a hand up. She took it, and for just a second they stood there, hands linked, close enough that he could see the flecks of blue in her gray eyes. Then she stepped back, and the moment passed. I'll see you tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow, he agreed. Friday came too fast and not fast enough. Ryan arrived at the office early to find Olivia already there, looking like she hadn't slept. She probably hadn't. The social worker is bringing Mia at 11, she said without preamble. To the condo, not here. I'm leaving in an hour. I just needed to, I don't know, do something normal first. Want me to come with you? She looked startled. You don't have to do that. I know. Do you want me to? Olivia hesitated. Yes, she finally said. Yes, I do. They arrived at the condo at 10:45. Olivia paced. Ryan made tea she didn't drink. At exactly 11 o'clock, the buzzer rang. Olivia froze. You've got this, Ryan said quietly. She took a breath, squared her shoulders, and went to answer the door. The social worker was a tired-looking woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a professional smile. And behind her, partially hidden, was a small girl with dark hair and enormous brown eyes that had seen way too much for 7 years old. Ms. Hayes, the social worker said, this is Mia. Olivia crouched down, putting herself at eye level with the child. Hi, Mia. I'm Olivia. You can call me Liv if you want. Mia stared at her without speaking. I know this is scary, Olivia continued, her voice gentler than Ryan had ever heard it. I know you've been moved around a lot and you don't know me, and you have no reason to trust that this will be different, but I'm going to try really hard to make this a safe place for you. Okay? Still nothing. The social worker cleared her throat. Mia's been through a lot of transitions. She might need some time to adjust. Of course. Olivia stood, careful not to crowd the child. Would you like to see your room? Mia looked at the social worker, who nodded encouragingly. Then, very slowly, she stepped inside. Ryan stayed quiet in the corner as Olivia showed Mia around the condo, explaining where everything was, giving her space to explore. The little girl moved like she was walking through a museum, looking but not touching, present but not really there. When they got to her bedroom, Mia stopped in the doorway. Ryan watched her take in the space, the bed with its colorful quilt, the desk with art supplies, the bookshelf with carefully chosen books. Nothing too personal, nothing that assumed who she was, just room to grow. This is yours, Olivia said. You can arrange it however you want, change anything. We can paint the walls, get different furniture, whatever you need. Mia walked over to the desk, picked up a colored pencil, put it down, looked at Olivia with those 2 old eyes. How long can I stay? The question hit like a physical blow. Ryan saw Olivia falter for just a second. As long as you need, she said carefully. This isn't temporary, Mia. I know you've heard that before, and I know you don't believe it, but I mean it. I'm not going anywhere. That's what the last people said. I know. They lied. I'm not lying. Mia's face did something complicated. Everyone says that. Olivia knelt down again, and Ryan could see her struggling with what to say, how to reach this child who had every reason not to believe in adults anymore. You're right, she finally said. I can't prove I'm different with words. Words are easy, but I can show you. Every single day I can show you that I'm staying, and maybe eventually you'll believe me. Mia studied her for a long moment. Then she picked up the colored pencil again and turned back to the desk, effectively dismissing all of them. The social worker finished the paperwork, explained the follow-up schedule, and left. Ryan started to make his excuses too, but Olivia caught his arm. Stay? She said it quietly enough that Mia wouldn't hear. Please? I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now. So he stayed. The afternoon was awkward. Mia sat in her room coloring with mechanical precision. Olivia hovered uncertainly, trying to give space while also being available. Ryan ordered pizza because nobody had thought about lunch, and they all ate in careful silence. Around 4, Mia spoke up. I'm tired. Do you want to rest? Olivia asked. Mia nodded, already heading to her room. She closed the door without another word. Olivia sank onto the couch, looking shell-shocked. That went well? Actually, Ryan said, it did. She barely looked at me. She didn't speak more than 5 words. She closed herself in her room the first chance she got. She didn't run. She didn't fight. She didn't test you to see if you'd send her back. She's exhausted and scared and protecting herself the only way she knows how. That's normal. Nothing about this feels normal. It won't for a while. That's also normal. Olivia dropped her head into her hands. What am I doing, Ryan? I don't know how to help her. I don't know what to say or do Then just be here. You don't have to fix everything today. They sat there in the quiet of the condo, and Ryan let himself imagine for a dangerous moment what it might be like if this was his life. Coming home to Olivia, helping with a child who needed them both. Being part of something real and messy and worth fighting for. Then his phone buzzed, Emma asking when he was coming home, and reality reasserted itself. I should go, he said reluctantly. Thank you for today, for everything. I don't know what I would have done without you. You would have figured it out. You always do. At the door, Olivia stopped him with a hand on his arm. Ryan, can I ask you something? Anything. Why are you really doing all this? And don't say it's the right thing to do. There's more to it than that. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, and for a second he almost told her the truth. That he'd been in love with her for longer than he wanted to admit. That watching her fight for this child had only made him fall harder. That being close to her like this, seeing her vulnerable and determined and scared, was the best and worst kind of torture. But Olivia had enough to deal with right now without him adding his feelings to the pile. Because you matter, he said instead. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. And I want to see you win this. Something flickered in her expression. Gratitude, maybe, or confusion, or something else he couldn't quite name. I'm glad you're here, she said softly. Ryan left before he could do something stupid like kiss her. The weekend was harder. Saturday morning, Ryan got a text from Olivia. Help, please. He called immediately. What's wrong? She won't come out of her room. She didn't eat breakfast. I tried talking to her through the door, but she won't answer. What if something's wrong? What if she's sick or... Olivia, breathe. She's probably fine. She's in a new place with a stranger. Give her space. How much space? What if I'm giving too much? What if she thinks I don't care? Okay, here's what you do. Make lunch. Something simple. Leave it outside her door with a note saying she can eat whenever she's hungry. Then go do something else. Don't hover. Silence. Then, that's it? That's it. You can't force connection. You can just keep showing up and let her come to you when she's ready. I hate this. I know. Do it anyway. Sunday was better. Mia emerged for meals, ate in silence, went back to her room. Olivia reported each small development like a victory, which Ryan supposed it was. Monday morning, Olivia had a board meeting she couldn't reschedule. Ryan found himself volunteering to check on Mia during the day, just to make sure she was okay. Olivia had given him a key to the condo at some point over the weekend, which felt significant in ways he wasn't going to examine too closely. He arrived around lunch to find Mia in exactly the same position as the day before, at her desk, coloring. "Hey," he said from the doorway. "I'm Ryan. I work with Olivia. She had to go to a meeting, so I'm here if you need anything." Mia didn't look up. "I don't need anything." "Fair enough. I'm going to make a sandwich if you want one."
"No, thank you." At least she was polite. Ryan went to the kitchen, made 2 sandwiches anyway, and left one on her desk on his way past. She didn't acknowledge it, but when he checked 30 minutes later, it was gone. Small victories. That night, Olivia called him after Mia had gone to bed. She sounded exhausted. "Did she talk to you today?" "A little. Turned down a sandwich, then ate it when I wasn't looking." Olivia laughed, but it sounded slightly hysterical.
"This is impossible, Ryan. I have no idea what I'm doing. The board meeting was a disaster because I couldn't focus. I keep checking my phone every 5 minutes to make sure she's okay. I'm running a company and trying to figure out parenting and failing at both." "You're not failing." "I feel like I am. I feel like I'm drowning, and I'm dragging everyone down with me." "Olivia, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be dumping this on you. It's not your problem." "Stop saying that. Stop acting like you have to do this alone." "I don't have a choice. This is what I signed up for." "No, you signed up to be Mia's guardian. You didn't sign up to isolate yourself from everyone who gives a damn about you." Silence. Then quietly, "Why do you give a damn, Ryan? What's in this for you?" The question hung in the air between them. Ryan closed his eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "Because someone should," he said finally, "and I happen to think you're worth it." He heard her breath catch. "Ryan, I have to go. Emma needs help with homework. Call me if you need anything." He hung up before she could say whatever she was about to say, before he could hear her let him down gently, before this fragile thing between them could shatter into something that couldn't be fixed. The second week was marginally better. Mia started eating meals at the table instead of in her room. She still didn't talk much, but she didn't actively avoid Olivia anymore either. Progress, Ryan supposed, even if it was glacial. Thursday night, everything changed. Ryan got the call at 9 p.m. "Olivia," her voice tight with barely controlled panic. "I need you. Now. Please." He was in the car before he'd even hung up, his heart in his throat. Emma was already asleep. He called his mother to come stay with her and drove too fast through empty streets to Olivia's condo. She opened the door looking wrecked. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were red, and she was shaking. "What happened? Is Mia okay?" "She's in her room. She's fine, physically. But Ryan, Her voice broke. "I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't." He stepped inside, closed the door. "Tell me what happened." "I asked her to turn off the TV and get ready for bed. That's it. Just basic parenting. And she looked at me with so much anger and said, 'You're not my mother. You can't tell me what to do.' And I froze. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there like an idiot while this 7-year-old destroyed me with 6 words. Ryan guided her to the couch. "Okay, that's hard, but it's also normal. She's testing you." "I don't want to be tested. I want her to trust me. I want her to feel safe. I want to know what I'm doing instead of failing at every single interaction." "You're not failing." "Yes, I am." Olivia's composure finally cracked completely. "I'm failing her. I'm failing the company. I'm failing at being the person everyone needs me to be. And the worst part is that I can't even figure out how to fail properly because I've never done this before. I've never been someone's mother. I've never had anyone depend on me for anything except stock prices and profit margins." Ryan reached out, hesitated, then took her hand. She gripped it like a lifeline. "I'm going to tell you something," he said quietly, "and I need you to hear it. You ready?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. "Nobody knows what they're doing. Not really. Every parent is just making it up as they go, trying not to screw up too badly, hoping the love is enough to cover the mistakes. You think I knew what I was doing when Emma's mom left? I barely knew how to keep myself functional, let alone raise a kid. But I showed up anyway. Every single day I showed up scared and uncertain and completely out of my depth. And somehow she turned out okay. What if my showing up isn't enough? What if she needs more than I can give? Then you ask for help. From me. From the therapist I know you've already called. From whoever else you need. There's no prize for doing this alone." Olivia was crying now, silent tears tracking down her face. I'm so tired, Ryan. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of pretending I know what I'm doing when I'm terrified every single second that I'm going to let her down. Then stop pretending. Be scared. Be uncertain. Be human. That's what she needs, not some perfect guardian who has all the answers. Just someone who cares enough to keep trying. What if I can't even do that? Ryan cupped her face with his free hand, making her look at him. You can. I've watched you build a company from nothing. I've watched you walk into rooms full of people who underestimated you and prove every single one of them wrong. I've watched you fight battles that would break most people and come out stronger. You're the toughest person I know, Olivia, and if you can channel even a fraction of that stubborn determination into this, you'll be exactly what Mia needs. She stared at him, something shifting in her expression. Why do you believe in me so much? Because I love you, because you're brilliant and fierce and beautiful even when you're falling apart, because I would do anything to take this pain away from you, because you deserve someone who does, he said. And then, before he could stop himself, before he could think better of it, he kissed her. It was soft, tentative, a question more than a statement, and for a perfect, terrible moment, Olivia kissed him back. Then she pulled away, eyes wide, hand pressed to her mouth. Ryan, we can't. He stood up quickly, putting distance between them. I'm sorry, that was completely inappropriate. I shouldn't have. No, it's not that. It's just. She looked at him with something like anguish. I can't do this right now. I can't add one more complicated thing to my life when I'm barely holding everything else together. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to Mia, and I understand. He was already backing toward the door. I'm sorry. I'll go. Ryan, wait. But he couldn't. He couldn't stand there and watch her pull away, couldn't hear her explain all the reasons why this was a bad idea when he already knew them all. So he left. He made it to his car before he let himself feel the full weight of what he'd just done. He'd kissed his boss. He'd kissed a woman who was in the middle of a crisis, who'd trusted him to help, who'd let him see her at her most vulnerable. He'd crossed every line he'd promised himself he wouldn't cross. His phone buzzed. Olivia. I'm sorry. He didn't respond. What was there to say? That night, he barely slept. He kept replaying the kiss, the look on her face when she pulled away, the way she'd said his name like it hurt. In the morning, he called in sick. He couldn't face her, not yet. By Monday, he'd convinced himself that the professional thing to do was pretend it never happened. He'd go to work, do his job, keep his distance, and eventually they'd both move past this. Except when he walked into the office, Olivia was waiting at his desk. We need to talk, she said. His stomach dropped. Olivia, I already apologized. I'm not going to make this weird. I can be professional. I don't want professional. She cut him off, her voice low enough that the early morning stragglers couldn't hear. I want honest. Conference room. Now. She turned and walked away, leaving him no choice but to follow. The conference room door closed behind them. Olivia turned to face him, and he braced for the conversation he'd been dreading. I didn't sleep all weekend, she said. I kept thinking about Thursday night, about what you said, about what happened. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Just listen. She took a breath. You were right about a lot of things. I have been trying to do this alone. I have been pretending I don't need help, and I've been lying to myself about why. Ryan waited, not sure where this was going. The truth is that I'm terrified of letting people in, of depending on anyone, because everyone I've ever depended on has eventually left. My parents were more interested in their careers than their kids. My sister chose drugs over family. Every relationship I've ever had ended because I was too focused on work, or too ambitious, or just too much of whatever they couldn't handle. Her voice cracked slightly. So I stopped trying. I built walls. I told myself I was better off alone because alone meant safe. Olivia Sonut, I'm not done. You asked me why I believe you're different. Why I let you help when I don't let anyone else close. The answer is that somewhere along the way, you became the person I couldn't imagine doing this without. Not just with Mia, with everything. You're the first person I call when something goes wrong. You're the one I trust to tell me the truth even when it's hard to hear. You showed up for me in ways no one else ever has, And I didn't even realize how much I needed that until I almost lost it. Ryan's heart was pounding. What are you saying? She met his eyes, and he saw everything she wasn't saying written in her expression. I'm saying that when you kissed me, I didn't pull away because I didn't want it. I pulled away because I wanted it too much, and that scared the hell out of me. I'm saying that I have feelings for you that are completely inappropriate given our working relationship, but I can't seem to make myself care about that anymore. And I'm saying that I don't know how to do this, any of this, but I'd like to figure it out, if you're willing to be patient with me while I do. For a long moment, Ryan couldn't find words. Then, you have feelings for me. Apparently I'm not as subtle as I thought I was. Oh, you're one of the smartest people I know, and you somehow didn't notice that I've been in love with you for over a year? Olivia's eyes went wide. Love? Yeah, love. The completely inconvenient, totally inappropriate, can't stop thinking about you kind. I've been trying really hard to ignore it because you're my boss and you were dealing with enough without me adding my feelings to the mix. But apparently I'm not as good at hiding it as I thought either. She laughed and it sounded slightly unhinged. We're both idiots. Apparently. So what do we do now? Ryan took a step closer. Well, I think we have a few options. We could pretend this conversation never happened and go back to being professional. We could acknowledge that this is complicated and take some time to think about it. Or you could let me take you to dinner, somewhere that's not your office or your condo or anywhere associated with work. Just two people who happen to like each other, trying to figure out if this thing between us is real. Olivia bit her lip, considering. What about Mia? What about her? This affects her too. If this goes somewhere, it changes everything. Her stability, the guardianship evaluation, all of it. So we take it slow. We don't introduce anything into her life until we're sure. We keep work and personal separate. We're careful. I don't know how to date, Ryan. I haven't had a relationship that lasted more than 3 months since college. Neither have I. We'll figure it out together. She studied his face for a long moment. Then, so quietly, Okay. Okay? Okay. Dinner. This weekend, if I can find a sitter. Ryan felt something expand in his chest. I can ask my mom to watch both of them. Emma would love to meet Mia. You'd do that? Olivia. I'd do pretty much anything for you. I thought that was obvious by now. She smiled. A real smile, soft and genuine and completely unguarded. I'm starting to figure that out. The door opened. One of the engineers poked his head in, saw them standing close together, and immediately retreated. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Olivia stepped back, her professional mask sliding into place. But when she glanced at Ryan, there was warmth in her eyes that hadn't been there before. We should get to work, she said. Probably. Neither of them moved. Finally, Olivia laughed. This is going to be complicated, isn't it? Extremely. Good. I like complicated. I know you do. They left the conference room separately, maintaining appropriate professional distance. But as Ryan sat down at his desk, his phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. Saturday, 7 p.m. Try not to let me talk myself out of this before then. He smiled, typing back, Not a chance. For the first time in a long time, the future felt like something worth hoping for. Saturday arrived faster than Ryan expected and slower than he wanted. He'd spent the week trying to act normal at work, which was nearly impossible when every interaction with Olivia felt charged with something new and fragile. They'd kept their distance in the office, communicating mostly through emails and brief meetings with other people present. Professional, careful, absolutely terrified of screwing this up before it even started. Emma had been thrilled when he told her about the dinner plans, though he'd kept the details vague. You're going out with your boss? Is she nice now? She was always nice, just busy. Grandma says busy is what grown-ups call it when they don't want to deal with feelings. Ryan had choked on his coffee. Grandma needs to mind her own business. She also says you've been smiling at your phone a lot this week. Are you texting a girl? I'm texting about work. Emma had given him a look that said she didn't believe him for a second. At 7 years old, she was already too perceptive for his own good. Now standing in front of his closet, trying to figure out what to wear, Ryan felt ridiculous. It was just dinner. with a woman he'd known for 3 years, who happened to be his boss, and who he was completely in love with. No pressure. His phone buzzed. Olivia. Is it too late to cancel because I'm having a panic attack about what to wear? He smiled, typing back, yes. Also, you could show up in a garbage bag and still be the most beautiful person in the room. That's objectively untrue, but thank you for lying. Not lying. See you at 7. He picked the navy shirt Emma had given him for his birthday, the one she said made his eyes look extra blue. If he was doing this, he might as well try. Ryan's mother arrived at 6:30 with a knowing smile that made him want to sink through the floor. So, dinner with the boss. Mom, I'm just saying, it's about time. That poor woman has been working herself into the ground, and you've been moping around here for months talking about her like she hung the moon. I have not been moping. You've been composing yourself emotionally for 3 years, sweetheart. That's just moping with better vocabulary. She squeezed his arm. Go. Have fun. Try not to overthink everything. That's literally impossible, but thanks. Emma ran up and hugged him. You look nice, Dad. Tell your boss I said hi. I will, Bug. Be good for Grandma. I'm always good. His mother snorted. We'll see about that. The restaurant was a small Italian place downtown, the kind with dim lighting and actual tablecloths instead of paper placemats. Ryan arrived 10 minutes early and immediately regretted it, because now he had nothing to do but sit there and spiral. What if this was a mistake? What if they had nothing to talk about outside of work? What if the attraction was just proximity and stress and his own desperate loneliness? What if she changed her mind and didn't show up at all? Then Olivia walked through the door, and every anxious thought in his head went silent. She was wearing a dark green dress, simple and elegant, her hair down instead of pulled back like it usually was at work. She looked nervous and beautiful, and so completely different from the controlled professional version of herself that Ryan almost forgot to breathe. Their eyes met across the room. She smiled, small and uncertain, and started walking toward him. Ryan stood up too fast, nearly knocked over his water glass, and caught it just in time. Smooth. Very smooth. Hi, Olivia said when she reached the table. Hi. You look amazing. So do you. She sat down, smoothing her dress. This is weird, right? This feels weird. Extremely weird. Okay, good. I thought it was just me. She laughed nervously. I've been to hundreds of business dinners. I can negotiate million-dollar deals over appetizers, but this? I have no idea what I'm doing. That makes 2 of us. Ryan poured her water from the carafe. Want to establish some ground rules? Make this less terrifying, please. Okay. Rule 1. We don't talk about work unless one of us is actively on fire. Deal. Rule 2. We're allowed to be awkward. No pretending we're smooth when we're both clearly panicking. I like that. Rule 3. If this goes badly, we agree to be adults about it on Monday and not make things weird at the office. Olivia's smile faltered slightly. You think it's going to go badly? No, but I also want you to know there's an exit strategy if you need one. No pressure. She studied him for a moment. You're very careful with me. You matter to me. I don't want to mess this up. Ryan. She reached across the table, hesitated, then took his hand. You couldn't mess this up if you tried. You're the least threatening person I've ever met, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. The waiter appeared, forcing them to separate and focus on menus. They ordered wine neither of them would drink much of, and pasta they'd probably be too nervous to eat. And then they were alone again, trying to figure out how to talk to each other outside the familiar territory of quarterly reports and product launches. So, Olivia said finally, tell me something I don't know about you. That's a dangerous question. I'm willing to risk it. Ryan thought for a moment. I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was a kid. Spent hours watching documentaries about coral reefs and deep-sea creatures. Had this whole plan to move to Australia and study the Great Barrier Reef. What happened? Reality. College was expensive, marine biology jobs were scarce, and I was good at business operations, so I followed the practical path instead of the passionate one. Do you regret it? Sometimes. Mostly I just wonder what that version of my life would have looked like. But then I think about Emma, and I can't imagine not having her, which means I can't regret any of the choices that led to her existing. Even the ones that hurt. Olivia's expression softened. You're a good father. I'm a tired father who makes it up as he goes and hopes he's not screwing her up too badly. That's still better than most people manage. She paused. Can I ask about Emma's mother? You don't have to answer if it's too personal. Ryan took a sip of water, considering. Her name was Jessica. We met in college, got married too young, had a baby before either of us was ready. She tried. I really believe she tried. But motherhood wasn't what she wanted, and staying felt like prison to her. So one day, when Emma was 18 months old, she left, wrote a note, packed a bag, and just went. That must have been devastating. It was. Not because I was heartbroken. Our marriage had been falling apart for months. But because I was suddenly alone with a toddler and no idea how to handle it. My career was demanding, childcare was expensive, and I was angry at her for leaving and angry at myself for not seeing it coming. He shook his head. The first year was the hardest thing I've ever done. But somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, I figured out that being Emma's dad was the only thing I was genuinely good at. So I restructured my life around that. Do you hear from Jessica at all? She sends birthday cards sometimes, calls every few months to check in. She's living in Portland now, working in graphic design, married to someone who doesn't want kids. She's happier. And honestly, so are we. Emma deserves a parent who wants to be there, not someone who's staying out of obligation. You really don't resent her? Ryan considered that. I did for a long time, but resentment is exhausting, and it wasn't changing anything. So I let it go. Not for her sake, for mine, and for Emma's. Their food arrived, giving them both a moment to regroup. Olivia pushed pasta around her plate, clearly gathering courage to say something. My turn? She asked. Only if you want to. She took a breath. My sister and I weren't close. She was 5 years older, and we grew up in a house where achievement was the only currency that mattered. Our parents were both academics, brilliant, ambitious, completely emotionally unavailable. They had high expectations and zero patience for failure. My sister rebelled. Drugs, bad relationships, dropping out of college. Every choice designed to disappoint them as much as they'd disappointed her. And you? I did the opposite. I exceeded every expectation, graduated early, built companies, made them proud in ways she never could. And I told myself I was different from her, stronger, better. I didn't need their approval because I was successful enough to stand on my own. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I was just running from the same pain in a different direction. She self-destructed. I built walls, same damage, different expression. When did you last talk to her? 4 years ago. She called asking for money. I said no. She said I was exactly like our parents, cold, judgmental, caring more about being right than being kind. I hung up on her. And then she died in a car accident, and I'll never get to know if she was right about me. Ryan reached across the table again, and this time Olivia took his hand without hesitation. You're not cold. You didn't know me 4 years ago. I know you now. I know you're raising your sister's daughter even though you're terrified. I know you stayed late Thursday night talking Mia through a nightmare, even though you had an investor call at 6 a.m. I know you care so much that it scares you, because caring means risking the kind of pain you've spent your whole life trying to avoid. Olivia's eyes were bright with unshed tears. How do you do that? Do what? See past the armor. Everyone else sees the CEO, the ice queen, the woman who has everything figured out. You see me. Maybe because I know what it's like to pretend you're okay when you're actually drowning. I recognize the signs. They sat there, hands linked across the table, and Ryan realized this was the most honest conversation he'd had in years. No performance, no carefully constructed image, just two people being real with each other in a way that felt both terrifying and necessary. Tell me about Mia, he said eventually. How's it going this week? Olivia's expression shifted, still worried, but with hints of something else. Hope, maybe. Better, I think. She started asking questions, small ones, where things are, what the rules are, whether she can rearrange her room. And she ate breakfast with me twice without me having to beg. That's progress. I also completely lost it when she spilled juice all over the couch and I snapped at her about being careful. She shut down for hours. I felt like the worst person alive. Did you apologize? Eventually, I told her I was sorry for getting angry, that it wasn't about the juice, that I was stressed about work,
and took it out on her when I shouldn't have. She just looked at me and said, "Adults always say sorry, but they keep doing the same stuff anyway." Ryan winced. That's harsh.
That's accurate. From her perspective, every adult in her life has let her down. Why should I be different? Because you are different. You're showing up. You're trying. You're apologizing when you screw up instead of pretending you didn't. That matters more than you think. What if trying isn't enough? Then you try harder. There's no finish line here, Olivia. You don't get to solve parenting and move on to the next project. You just keep showing up day after day and hope the cumulative effect of your present starts to outweigh her past. She smiled slightly. You should write a parenting book. Fake it till you make it, a guide to raising humans when you have no idea what you're doing. I'm sure it would be a bestseller. Olivia laughed, a real laugh, the kind that crinkled her eyes and made her whole face light up. Ryan wanted to bottle that sound, keep it somewhere safe, pull it out whenever the world felt too heavy. They talked for 2 more hours, about everything and nothing. Movies they'd loved, places they wanted to travel, the strange loneliness of being successful in ways that were supposed to matter but somehow didn't fill the empty spaces. Olivia told him about the first company she'd sold, how the celebration had felt hollow because there was no one to share it with. Ryan talked about this day Emma learned to ride a bike, how watching her pedal away had felt like his heart leaving his body. When the waiter brought the check, Ryan reached for it automatically. Olivia grabbed it first. I make significantly more money than you, she said. Let me. That's not how this works. Says who? Says every dating manual ever written. I don't follow manuals. They're usually written by people who don't know what they're talking about. Ryan grinned. Fine. You can pay, but I'm getting the next one. Presumptuous of you to assume there'll be a next one. Is there going to be a next one? Olivia's smile was soft, genuine. Yeah, I think there is. They walked out into the cool night air, neither quite ready for the evening to end. Ryan's car was parked 2 blocks away. Olivia's was in the opposite direction. They stood on the sidewalk, suddenly awkward again. So? Olivia said. So? This was nice, really nice. Thank you for suggesting it. Thank you for saying yes, even though you were terrified. How did you know I was terrified? Because I know you, and also because you texted me 4 times about canceling. She laughed. Fair point. She shifted her weight like she was building up to something. Can I ask you something? Anything. What happens now? With us, I mean. Do we keep doing this? See where it goes? Ryan stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of blue in her gray eyes. I'd like to. If you would. I would. But I need you to understand something first. She took a breath. I'm not good at this. At relationships, at letting people in, at being vulnerable. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to pull away when things get scary, and I'm going to default to work when I don't know how to handle my feelings. And with Mia in the picture, everything is 10 times more complicated. I can't promise this will be easy. I don't need easy, Olivia. I just need honest. Can you do that? I can try. Then that's enough. He kissed her then, soft and careful, a promise rather than a demand. She kissed him back, her hand coming up to cup his face, and for a perfect moment, everything else fell away. No work, no complications, no fear. Just this. When they finally pulled apart, Olivia was smiling. Okay, yeah, we're doing this. We're doing this. I should probably go. Emma and Mia are with your mom, and I told her I'd be back by 10. Ryan checked his watch. It's 10:30. Oh no, do you think they're okay? They're fine. My mom has handled worse than 2 7-year-olds, but we should probably head back before she decides to adopt them both. They walked to their cars together, hands linked, neither wanting to let go. At Olivia's door, Ryan pulled her in for one more kiss. I'll see you Monday, he said. Monday. Back to being professional. Excruciatingly professional. I'll call you Mr. Carter in meetings. I hate that. I know. That's why it'll be funny. She kissed him again, quick and sweet, then got in her car. Ryan watched her drive away, feeling lighter than he had in months. His phone buzzed before he'd even made it home. Olivia. That was perfect. Thank you for tonight. Ryan. First of many, I hope. Olivia. Definitely. Now go rescue your mother before Emma convinces her to let them stay up all night. When Ryan got home, he found his mother on the couch, with both girls fast asleep on either side of her, some animated movie playing quietly on the TV. She looked up when he came in, smiling knowingly. Good date? Really good. I'm glad. You deserve it. She carefully extracted herself from between the sleeping children. They were wonderful, by the way. Emma showed Mia her rock collection, and Mia actually seemed interested. They built a fort in the living room and played some elaborate game involving dragons and princesses. It was adorable. Ryan looked at Mia, small and vulnerable in sleep, her dark hair falling across her face. How was she? Any problems? None. She was quiet at first, but Emma has a way of pulling people out of their shells. By the end of the night, they were giggling like old friends. That's good. Really good. His mother squeezed his shoulder. She's going to be okay, Ryan. Both of them are. You and Olivia are giving them something most kids never get, adults who actually try. After his mother left, Ryan carried Emma to her bed, tucking her in carefully. Then he went back for Mia, hesitating before picking her up. She stirred slightly but didn't wake as he carried her to the guest room they'd set up for these occasions. It's okay, he murmured, settling her on the bed. You're safe here. Her eyes opened briefly, unfocused with sleep. Where's Liv? She'll be here soon. Sleep now. Mia nodded and curled into the pillow. Ryan pulled the blanket up, feeling the weight of trust she'd just placed in him without even realizing it. His phone buzzed. Olivia. On my way. 5 minutes out. Ryan. Take your time. She's asleep. They both are. Olivia. Your mom is a saint. Ryan. I'll tell her you said that. She'll never let me forget it. When Olivia arrived, she looked exhausted but happy. Ryan met her at the door, keeping his voice low. How was your evening? Quiet, strange. I kept expecting something to go wrong, but nothing did. I actually got some work done for the first time in weeks without feeling guilty about it. That's because you knew she was safe and having fun. Takes the edge off. Olivia nodded, then glanced toward the guest room. I should get her home. School tomorrow. She's pretty out. Want to just let her sleep here tonight? I can bring her by in the morning before work. You don't have to do that. I know, but it's easier than waking her up and dragging her across town. Plus, Emma would love having her for breakfast. She's been talking about Mia non-stop since they met. Olivia considered, then nodded. Okay, thank you. For everything. For tonight, for watching her, for making this less terrifying than it could have been. Anytime. Ryan stepped closer. This is going to work, you know. All of it. Us. Mia. The completely insane balancing act we're attempting. You sound very certain for someone who's making this up as he goes. That's because I am certain. About you. About this. About the fact that we're both too stubborn to let this fail. Olivia kissed him, slow and thorough, before reluctantly pulling away. I should go before I get too comfortable and never leave. Would that be so bad? Ask me again in 6 months when we've figured out if this is real or just two lonely people finding comfort in proximity. It's real, Olivia. I've known that for a long time. She studied his face, something vulnerable in her expression. How do you know? Because proximity doesn't make your chest hurt when the person leaves. It doesn't make you want to know every detail of their day. It doesn't make you willing to rearrange your entire life just to make theirs a little easier. That's not proximity. That's love. Olivia's breath caught. Ryan, you don't have to say it back. I just wanted you to know where I stand. She kissed him again, softer this time. I'm not there yet, but I think I could be. Given time, I can work with that. After she left, Ryan checked on both girls one more time before heading to his own room. His phone buzzed with a final text from Olivia. I'm falling for you. Slowly, carefully, but definitely falling. Ryan smiled, typing back, Good. I'll be here to catch you. The next few weeks developed a rhythm that felt both natural and surreal. Ryan and Olivia kept their relationship quiet at work, maintaining professional distance during office hours. But outside the office, they carved out time for each other. Lunches when Mia was at school, late-night phone calls after both girls were asleep, stolen moments between meetings when Ryan would bring coffee to her office, and she'd smile at him in a way that made his entire day. Mia was slowly, cautiously opening up. She talked more now,
asked questions, even laughed occasionally at Emma's terrible jokes.
The two girls had formed an unlikely friendship, bonding over shared interests in art and elaborate imaginary worlds. Olivia would drop Mia off at Ryan's house sometimes, and the relief on her face when she picked her up later, seeing Mia happy and relaxed, was worth every scheduling complication. But it wasn't all smooth. There were hard days when Mia shut down completely, refusing to talk or eat or engage with anything. There were nights when Olivia called Ryan in tears because she'd handled something wrong and didn't know how to fix it. There were moments when the weight of everything felt crushing. "She won't tell me what's wrong," Olivia said one night, her voice breaking over the phone. I asked if she was okay, and she just looked at me like I was stupid for even trying, like nothing I do will ever be enough. You can't force her to open up before she's ready. I know that. Intellectually, I know that. But it's killing me, Ryan, watching her hurt and not being able to help. You are helping, just by being there, even when she can't see it yet. There was silence on the other end. Then, "Can you come over? I know it's late, but I'll be there in 20 minutes. He called his mother, who arrived to stay with Emma without asking questions. Then he drove to Olivia's condo, taking the stairs two at a time. She answered the door looking wrecked, her eyes red from crying. Ryan pulled her into his arms without a word, holding her while she fell apart in a way she'd never let herself do at work. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered against his chest. "I thought I could figure it out. I thought trying would be enough. But what if I'm making it worse? What if she'd be better off with someone who actually knows how to parent?" "Stop. That's fear talking, not truth." "How do you know?" "Because I've had the exact same thoughts about Emma 100 times. Every parent does. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you care enough to question yourself." Olivia pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I'm sorry. I'm a mess. You're human. There's a difference. I hate feeling like this, out of control, helpless." "I know, but you're not helpless. You're just dealing with something that can't be solved with data and strategy. And that's scary for you because you've built your whole life around being able to solve problems through sheer force of will." She laughed wetly. "You know me too well." "Is that a bad thing?" "No, it's terrifying and wonderful, and I don't know what I'd do without you." She kissed him, desperate and grateful. "Stay tonight?" "Not for anything, just I don't want to be alone." "Okay." They checked on Mia, still asleep, then settled on the couch together. Olivia curled into Ryan's side and he held her while she finally fully relaxed for the first time in days. "Can I tell you something?" she said quietly. "Always. I think I'm falling in love with you. Actually in love, not just falling, and it scares me because I don't know how to do this. How to let someone in. How to trust that you won't leave when things get hard." Ryan's heart stuttered. "I'm not leaving." "You say that now, but everyone leaves eventually." "Not everyone. Not me." He tilted her face up to look at him. "I know you've been hurt. I know every important person in your life has taught you that love is conditional. But I need you to hear this. I'm not going anywhere. Not when things are hard. Not when you push me away because you're scared. Not when parenting gets overwhelming or work gets crazy or life throws everything at us at once. I'm staying." Olivia's eyes filled with tears again. "How can you promise that?" "Because I already know what the hard parts look like, and I'm choosing you anyway. Because I've seen you at your worst, exhausted, crying, terrified you're failing, and it only made me love you more. Because choosing to stay isn't a one-time decision. It's something I'm going to keep choosing every single day." She kissed him then, and it felt like falling and flying at the same time. When they finally broke apart, she was smiling through tears. "I love you," she said. "I'm terrified and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I love you. I love you too, and we're going to figure this out together." They fell asleep on the couch, tangled together, and when Mia wandered out in the morning looking for breakfast, she found them there. She stood in the doorway for a long moment, studying them with those two wise eyes. "Are you staying?" she asked Ryan when he opened his eyes. "For breakfast, yeah. Is that okay?" Mia considered this. "I guess. Can you make pancakes?" "I can definitely make pancakes." As he got up to head to the kitchen, Mia grabbed his sleeve. "Are you Liv's boyfriend?" Ryan glanced at Olivia, who'd woken up and was watching this exchange with barely concealed panic.
Would that be okay with you if I was? I don't know yet. I'll tell you after the pancakes. In the kitchen, Ryan started pulling out ingredients while Mia sat at the counter, swinging her legs and watching him. Your daughter's nice, she said eventually. Thanks. I think so too. She said you're the best dad ever. She's biased. I bribe her with ice cream. Mia almost smiled. Liv doesn't know how to make pancakes. She burns everything. Nobody's perfect at everything. Emma said you help Liv a lot. I try to. She helps me too. Mia was quiet for a moment. Do you like her? Very much. Like her? Ryan smiled at the very 7-year-old phrasing. Yeah, like her. Are you going to marry her? Whoa. That's a big question for before breakfast. Emma said you should. She said Liv needs someone nice because her job makes her sad sometimes. Ryan's throat tightened. Your friend is very perceptive. What's perceptive mean? It means she notices things other people miss. Oh, I'm perceptive too then. I notice stuff. What kind of stuff do you notice? Mia swung her legs faster, not meeting his eyes. I notice when people are pretending to be happy, but they're actually sad. Or when they say stuff they don't mean because they think it's what you want to hear. Or when they're about to leave even though they promised they wouldn't. Ryan's heart broke a little. That's a lot of noticing for someone your age. I had to learn, so I'd know when to leave first. He stopped mixing batter, crouching down to her eye level. You know what I notice? What? I notice that Liv lights up every single time you walk in the room. I notice that she calls me in the middle of the night worried because you won't eat dinner, not because she's annoyed, but because she cares. I notice that she's reading parenting books and asking for advice and trying so hard to be what you need that she's exhausted all the time. And I notice that she's not pretending. She's scared and she doesn't always know what to do, but every single promise she's made you is real. Mia studied him seriously. How do you know? Because I know her, and because people who are planning to leave don't work this hard to stay. Oh. Mia thought about this. The pancakes are burning. Damn it! Ryan jumped up, rescuing breakfast just in time. Olivia appeared in the doorway, already dressed for the day. Everything okay in here? We're having philosophical discussions about commitment, Ryan said lightly. The usual Saturday morning stuff. Mia looked at Olivia, something shifting in her expression. Ryan's making pancakes because you burn everything. Olivia laughed. That's true. I'm terrible in the kitchen. That's okay. Ryan said nobody's perfect at everything. He's right about that. Over breakfast, Mia actually talked. Small things. A project at school, a book she was reading, a girl in her class who was mean sometimes. Olivia listened like every word mattered, asking questions, actually engaging instead of just waiting for her turn to speak. Ryan watched them together and felt something settle in his chest. This was what family looked like. Not perfect, not easy, just people showing up for each other, trying their best, figuring it out as they went. After breakfast, Mia asked if she could call Emma. The two girls chatted on the phone for 20 minutes about things that made no sense to anyone over the age of 10, giggling periodically at private jokes. When Mia went back to her room to play, Olivia pulled Ryan aside. What happened this morning? She's different, lighter. I think she just needed to hear that you're not going anywhere, and that it's okay to let herself believe that. What did you say to her? The truth. That you love her. That you're trying. That the trying matters more than getting everything right. Olivia kissed him softly. Thank you. For what? For being exactly what both of us needed. For making this feel possible instead of impossible. It is possible. We're doing it right now. She smiled. Yeah, I guess we are. The following Tuesday, everything went sideways in a way Ryan should have seen coming, but somehow didn't. He was in a budget review meeting when his phone buzzed insistently. Emma's school. He excused himself, stepping into the hallway with his stomach already knotting. Mr. Carter, this is Principal Morrison. Emma's fine, but we need you to come pick her up. There was an incident during recess. What kind of incident? She got into a physical altercation with another student. We have a zero-tolerance policy for violence, so she's being suspended for the rest of the day. Ryan's brain stuttered. Emma had never been in a fight in her life. I'll be there in 15 minutes. He stuck his head back into the conference room. Family emergency.
I have to go. Olivia's eyes met his across the table, concern flickering in her expression, but she just nodded. He'd explain later. Emma was sitting in the principal's office looking mutinous when Ryan arrived. Her knuckles were scraped, her hair was a mess, and there was a defiant tilt to her chin that reminded him uncomfortably of himself at that age. "What happened?" he asked after they'd made it to the car. "Nothing. Emma, you don't get suspended for nothing." She crossed her arms, staring out the window. "Tyler Brennan said something mean." "About you?" "About Mia." Ryan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What did he say?" "He said she's weird and probably crazy like her mom who died, and that's why nobody wanted her before Liv. He said it loud enough for everyone to hear." Emma's voice shook with barely controlled anger. "So I punched him." "Emma, I know I'm not supposed to hit people. I know. But he was being a jerk and nobody else was saying anything, and I got so mad, Dad. He doesn't even know her. He doesn't get to say stuff like that." Ryan pulled over into a parking lot, turning to look at his daughter. She was crying now, angry tears that she kept wiping away furiously. "I'm not going to yell at you," he said quietly. "You're not?" "No. What you did was wrong. Violence isn't the answer, and you know that. You'll apologize to Tyler and accept whatever consequences the school gives you." He reached over, squeezing her hand. "But I'm also really proud of you for standing up for your friend, even if you went about it the wrong way." Emma sniffled. "Really? Really? Mia's lucky to have you in her corner." "She's my best friend now. I can't let people be mean to her." Ryan's chest tightened. "I know, Bug, but next time try using words before fists, okay?" "Okay." She paused. "Are you going to tell Liv?" "Probably should. This involves Mia. She's going to think I'm bad. She's going to think you're human, just like the rest of us." When they got home, Emma went straight to her room. Ryan texted Olivia. "Can you call when you have a minute? Nothing urgent, but need to talk." She called immediately. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Emma got suspended." "What? Why?" Ryan explained the situation, half expecting Olivia to be upset about Emma dragging Mia into school drama. Instead, she was quiet for a long moment. "Is Emma okay?" she finally asked. "Physically, yeah. Emotionally, she's pretty shaken up. She feels guilty for hitting someone, but also not guilty because she thinks he deserved it. Tell her thank you. For punching a kid? For caring enough about Mia to defend her. I know that's the wrong message to send, but..." Olivia's voice cracked slightly. "Nobody's ever done that for her before. Protected her just because they wanted to, not because they had to. I'll tell her, but I'm still making her apologize. Of course, actions have consequences. But Ryan, thank you for raising a kid who thinks my kid is worth fighting for." After they hung up, Ryan found Emma in her room, curled up on her bed with a book she wasn't actually reading. "Olivia says thank you," he said from the doorway. Emma looked up, surprised. "She's not mad?" "No, she's grateful you care about Mia, but you still have to apologize to Tyler." "I know." Emma picked at her bedspread. "Dad, is Mia going to be okay, like, eventually?" "I think so. Why?" "She told me about her mom, about how she died and how scary everything was after. And sometimes when we're playing, she just stops and gets this look on her face like she's remembering something bad. I don't know how to help." Ryan came and sat on the edge of her bed. "You're helping just by being her friend, by treating her like she's normal instead of broken, by defending her when people are cruel. Even if I do it wrong? Even then. Nobody gets it right all the time, Emma. We just keep trying." That evening, Olivia brought Mia over for dinner. It had become a regular thing lately, the four of them eating together, the girls playing while the adults cleaned up, slowly building something that felt like family, even if nobody wanted to name it yet. Mia was quieter than usual. She pushed food around her plate without eating much, her eyes darting between Emma and Ryan like she was trying to solve a puzzle. "I heard what happened at school," Olivia said carefully. "Tyler's mother called me." Emma's fork clattered against her plate. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends. Did you apologize?" "Not yet. I have to do it tomorrow when I go back." Olivia nodded. "Good. Violence isn't acceptable, no matter the provocation. But I also want you to know that standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves is important. You just need to find better ways to do it. Like what? Like telling a teacher. Like talking to Tyler directly about why his words were hurtful. Like asking Mia what she needs instead of deciding for her. Mia spoke up suddenly. I didn't need you to hit him. Emma flushed. I know. I'm sorry. I just got really mad. I can fight my own fights. I know that too. You're my friend. I wanted to help. Mia studied her for a long moment. Then, so quietly, Ryan almost missed it. Thank you. Nobody ever got in trouble for me before. Emma's face brightened. Really? Really? It was nice, even if it was wrong. The girls dissolved into giggles, the tension breaking. Ryan and Olivia exchanged glances across the table, and he could see the same thought reflected in her eyes. These kids were going to give them gray hair before they hit 40. After dinner, while the girls were in Emma's room building some elaborate blanket fort, Olivia helped Ryan with dishes. The social worker called today, she said quietly, handing him a plate to dry. Final home evaluation is next week. Ryan's hand stilled. That's good, right? You've been doing this for 2 months. Everything's going well. It's going better. But, well? I don't know. Mia still has nightmares. She still tests me constantly, pushing boundaries to see if I'll send her away. Last week she told me she hated me because I wouldn't let her have ice cream for breakfast. That's normal kid behavior. I know. Intellectually, I know. But what if the social worker doesn't see it that way? What if they decide I'm not providing adequate stability? What if... Ryan set down the dish, turning to face her. Stop. You're spiraling. I'm being realistic. You're catastrophizing. There's a difference. He took her hand, soapy water and all. Listen to me. You've done everything they asked. You've attended the parenting classes. You've taken Mia to therapy. You've created a stable home environment. You've cut back your hours at work to be present. What more could they possibly want? Perfection. They want perfection, and I'm so far from perfect, it's almost funny. Nobody's perfect, Olivia. They're not looking for perfect. They're looking for good enough. And you're more than that. She leaned her forehead against his chest. What if I lose her? You won't. You can't promise that. No. But I can promise that whatever happens, you won't face it alone. Okay? Olivia nodded against his shirt, and they stood there in the quiet kitchen while the sounds of the girls' laughter filtered in from the other room. The next few days were tense. Olivia was running on coffee and anxiety, preparing for the home evaluation like it was an investor pitch. She cleaned the already clean condo, reorganized Mia's room 3 times, and printed out documentation of every single thing she'd done right in the past 2 months. You need to relax, Ryan told her. Thursday night, when he found her color-coding a binder of therapy session notes. I can't relax. This is too important. Which is exactly why you need to relax. They're not evaluating your organizational skills. They're evaluating whether Mia is safe and happy. And she is both of those things when you're not freaking out and making everything weird. Olivia glared at him. I'm not making things weird. You reorganized her sock drawer by color yesterday. Mia doesn't even care about her sock drawer. It shows attention to detail. It shows anxiety, which is human and normal, but not something you need to perform for a social worker. Ryan crossed the room, gently taking the binder from her hands. What do you think they're going to see when they come here? I don't know. That's the problem. They're going to see a kid who has her own room, her own space, her own routine. They're going to see that she's enrolled in school, attending therapy, gaining weight, making friends. They're going to see that you show up for her every single day, even when it's hard, even when you have no idea what you're doing. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. It's reality. And reality is what they're looking for, not some Instagram-perfect version of parenting that doesn't exist. Olivia sank onto the couch, exhausted. I'm terrified of losing her, Ryan. I didn't expect to feel this way. I thought I was doing this out of obligation, because she was family and I was the only option. But somewhere along the way, she became mine. Not in a possessive way, just, I can't imagine my life without her anymore. And if they take her away, they won't. I really believe that. How can you be so sure? Because I've watched you with her. I've seen the way she looks at you when she thinks you're not paying attention. Like you're solid ground in a world that's been nothing but quicksand. That's not something they can miss. The evaluation happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Ryan offered to be there for moral support, but Olivia declined. "I need to do this part alone," she said. "Prove I can handle it." "Okay, but call me after. Let me know how it went." "I will. Thank you for everything." Ryan spent the afternoon checking his phone obsessively, trying to focus on work and failing miserably. When Olivia finally called, it was almost 6. "How did it go?" he asked immediately. "I have no idea." The social worker was completely unreadable. She talked to Mia alone for 30 minutes, which made me want to climb the walls. Then she asked me about my work schedule, my support system, my plans for managing Mia's ongoing trauma. I felt like I was being cross-examined. "What did you say?" "The truth, that I'm figuring it out as I go, that I have help, you, the therapist, my assistant, who's been covering meetings when I need to leave early, that I'm not perfect, but I'm committed, that Mia deserves stability, and I'm doing everything I can to provide it." "That's a good answer." "I don't know. She just took notes and said they'd be in touch within 2 weeks with their recommendation." Olivia's voice shook. 2 weeks, Ryan. I have to wait 2 weeks to find out if I get to keep my kid. She's going to stay. I know she is. I wish I had your confidence." That night, Ryan went over to Olivia's place after Mia was asleep. He found her on the couch, staring at nothing, a glass of wine she hadn't touched sitting on the coffee table. "Hey," he said softly, sitting beside her. "Hey, you okay?" "No, but I will be. Eventually. Probably." She turned to look at him. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. If they say no, if they decide I'm not fit to be her guardian, will you still want this? Us?" Ryan's chest tightened. "Of course. Why would you even ask that?" "Because Mia's been part of this from the beginning. Our relationship exists in the context of me becoming a parent. If that goes away, maybe this goes away too." "Olivia, I fell in love with you 3 years ago, long before Mia was in the picture. She's part of your life, which means she's part of ours. But she's not the reason I love you. You could lose the company, lose the custody case, lose everything you think defines you, and I'd still be here, because I'm not in love with your circumstances. I'm in love with you." She kissed him then, desperate and grateful, and he held her while she finally let herself fall apart. The 2 weeks crawled by. Olivia threw herself into work, trying to distract herself from the waiting. Mia seemed to sense something was off, becoming more clingy, asking more questions about whether she was staying, whether Olivia was going to send her away. "I'm not sending you anywhere," Olivia told her for the 100th time. "No matter what happens, we're going to figure this out together." "But what if they make you?" "Then I'll fight them, and I'll keep fighting until they understand that you belong here." Mia studied her seriously. "Do I belong here?" Olivia knelt down, eye level with the child. "Yes, absolutely yes. I know I'm not perfect. I know I mess up and get things wrong and sometimes don't know what to say or do. But I love you, Mia, and that's not going to change." It was the first time she'd said it out loud. The words hung in the air between them, fragile and huge. Mia's eyes filled with tears. "Really? Really? I think I love you too, even when you're annoying about vegetables." Olivia laughed, pulling her into a hug. "I'm going to keep being annoying about vegetables. That's part of the deal." "Okay." Mia's voice was muffled against Olivia's shoulder. "That's okay." Ryan heard about this conversation later that night, when Olivia called him crying. "She said she loves me," Olivia said through tears. I hoped, but I didn't think." "I told you, she's yours." What if the social worker doesn't see it that way? Then the social worker is an idiot. But I don't think they are. I think they're going to see exactly what I see, a kid who's finally found home. The call came on a Thursday, exactly 2 weeks after the evaluation. Ryan was in a meeting when his phone lit up with Olivia's name. He excused himself, his heart pounding. "Well?" he said when he answered. Olivia was crying, but this time it sounded like relief. "They approved it. Full custody, permanent guardianship. She's mine, Ryan. She's actually mine." I told you it would be okay." "I know. I should have believed you. Oh my God, I need to tell Mia. She's at school. Should I go get her? Is that weird?"
I should wait until she gets home, right? Ryan laughed. Probably wait. Let her finish her day without disrupting things. But Olivia? Yeah? Congratulations. You did it. You fought for her and you won. We did it. I couldn't have done this without you. You could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to.
That evening, Ryan and Emma came over to celebrate. Mia didn't fully understand what permanent guardianship meant, but she understood that it meant she got to stay. Forever? She asked, looking between Olivia and Ryan. Forever, Olivia confirmed. No more evaluations, no more social workers checking up on us. Just you and me, figuring out life together. Mia launched herself at Olivia, hugging her with enough force to nearly knock them both over. I'm staying. I'm actually staying. You're staying, baby. You're staying. Emma grabbed Ryan's hand, squeezing tight. Does this mean we're like family now? I think we've been family for a while now, Bug. We just didn't have official paperwork for it. They ordered pizza and ate on the living room floor, the girls chattering excitedly about plans for Mia's room, for summer vacation, for all the future that suddenly felt secure instead of temporary. Ryan watched Olivia with Mia, saw the way she'd relaxed into this role, the way she smiled more easily now, the way she'd learned to be soft without losing her strength. Later, after the girls had fallen asleep watching a movie, Ryan and Olivia sat on the balcony sharing a bottle of wine. I can't believe it's over, Olivia said quietly. I've been in crisis mode for so long, I don't remember what normal feels like. Normal is overrated. You'll figure out your new normal. Our new normal. She turned to look at him. I want you to know that this, us, it's not just because you helped me through the hardest thing I've ever done. It's not gratitude or convenience or fear of being alone. I know. Do you? Because I need you to understand that I love you, for your terrible jokes and your patience, and the way you see the best in people even when they can't see it themselves. For the way you make me feel less alone in the world. For the way you love Emma, and the way you've loved Mia without hesitation, without expecting anything in return. Ryan set down his wine glass, turning to face her fully. I do understand. Because I love you for the same reasons. For your fierce determination and your secret softness. For the way you've learned to be vulnerable without losing yourself. For the way you fight for what matters. I'm not good at this. The relationship stuff. I'm going to mess up. So am I. We'll mess up together. Olivia laughed. That's the least romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. Yeah, but it's honest. And I think we're better at honest than romantic anyway. True. She kissed him softly. Stay tonight? The girls are already asleep. We could just be together. Without all the chaos. I'd like that. They moved inside, checked on both girls one more time, then settled into Olivia's bed. It was the first time they'd slept in the same bed without crisis or exhaustion driving them there. Just choice. Just wanting to be close. Ryan? Olivia said in the darkness. Yeah? Thank you. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. For showing me what partnership looks like. For choosing us. Always. He pulled her closer. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a new everything. She was right. In the morning, something had shifted. The constant anxiety that had been driving Olivia for months had eased. She made breakfast without burning it, barely, and laughed when Mia teased her about the slightly charred toast. She seemed lighter, more present, more like herself than Ryan had seen her in a long time. At work, the change was noticeable too. She was focused again, engaging with projects she'd been half-handling for weeks, making decisions with the confidence that had made her successful in the first place. It's good to have you back, one of the executives said in a meeting. We were starting to worry. Olivia smiled. I'm not back. I'm different. But I think that's better. Ryan understood what she meant. She hadn't returned to the person she'd been before Mia. She'd become someone new, someone who'd learned to balance ambition with humanity, success with connection, strength with vulnerability. That weekend, they took both girls to the park. It was stupidly domestic, watching them run around together while he and Olivia sat on a bench sharing coffee and comfortable silence. I've been thinking, Olivia said eventually. Dangerous. She elbowed him. Serious thinking about the future. Okay, what about it? Emma stays with you most of the time, but she's here a lot too. And Mia's essentially living between both places. It's working, but it's also complicated. The girls share clothes and toys and forget which house has what. We're constantly coordinating schedules and pickups and who's cooking dinner. Ryan's heart started beating faster. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I don't know. What do you think I'm saying? That maybe we should stop maintaining two separate households and just combine everything. Officially. Olivia bit her lip. Is that crazy? We've only been together a few months. People would say it's too fast. People aren't living our life. We've basically been co-parenting for months already. We might as well make it official. You'd move in? Here? Or you could move in with us. Or we could find a new place entirely. I'm flexible. Olivia was quiet for a moment, watching the girls. Emma was teaching Mia how to pump her legs on the swing, both of them laughing as Mia went higher and higher. I want them to have this all the time, Olivia said softly. Not just on weekends or when schedules align. I want them to be sisters in practice, not just in our heads. I want us to be a family without all the logistics. Then let's do it. Find a place big enough for all of us. Make it official. You're sure? This is a huge step. Ryan took her hand. I've never been more sure of anything, except maybe that Emma's about to fall off that swing. Emma, careful. Both girls looked over and waved. Crisis averted. They're going to be thrilled, Olivia said. Probably. Or they'll hate sharing a bathroom. But we'll figure it out. That night, they told the girls over dinner. Emma shrieked with excitement. Mia was quieter, more cautious. Where would we live? She asked. We'd find a new place, Olivia explained. Somewhere with enough room for everyone. You'd get to help pick it out. Would I still have my own room? Absolutely. Your own space is important. Mia looked at Emma. Would we be like real sisters? We're already real sisters, dummy. This just makes it official. Don't call me dummy. Sorry, real sisters who aren't dummies. Mia smiled, small but genuine. Okay, I like that. The house hunting process was chaotic. Olivia approached it like a business deal, making spreadsheets of neighborhoods and school districts and commute times. Emma wanted a yard for a potential dog. Mia wanted a window seat where she could read. Ryan just wanted enough space that they wouldn't kill each other. They looked at 15 places before finding the right one. A 4-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood with good schools, a yard big enough for Emma's hypothetical dog, and a reading nook that made Mia's eyes light up. This one, Olivia said, standing in the empty living room. This feels right. Ryan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. You sure? It needs work. The kitchen's outdated, the bathrooms are stuck in 1985, and I'm pretty sure that's mold in the basement. We'll fix it, together. She turned in his arms. I'm not looking for perfect anymore. I'm looking for potential, and this place has it. Plus that reading nook is going to make Mia impossibly happy. That too. They put in an offer that night. It was accepted 2 days later. Suddenly they were moving in together, combining households, building something permanent. The actual moving process was a disaster. Olivia tried to organize everything with labeled boxes and detailed inventories. Emma and Mia kept helping by unpacking things into the wrong rooms. Ryan discovered he owned far more books than any reasonable person should, and somehow nobody could find the box with the coffee maker, which nearly caused a crisis until Ryan made an emergency run to the nearest store. This is chaos, Olivia said, surrounded by boxes in what would eventually be their bedroom. This is family, Ryan corrected. Chaos is part of the deal. I'm going to need to make a spreadsheet. Of course you are. Despite the chaos, or maybe because of it, the house started to feel like home almost immediately. The girls picked out paint colors for their rooms. Olivia's sleek modern furniture mixed awkwardly with Ryan's more practical pieces, creating an eclectic style that somehow worked. They established routines, family dinners, weekend movie nights, homework at the kitchen table. It wasn't perfect. Mia still had nightmares sometimes, waking up scared and disoriented. Emma went through a phase of acting out, testing whether this new family configuration was permanent or just another temporary arrangement. Olivia and Ryan had their first real fight about parenting styles. She wanted structure and rules. He advocated for flexibility and understanding, and spent an entire evening working through their differences. We're not going to agree on everything, Ryan said after they'd finally reached a compromise. I know, I just hate conflict. Too bad. You're stuck with me now, conflict and all. Olivia smiled. I can live with that. 3 months after moving in, Ryan woke up to find Olivia already awake, staring at the ceiling. You okay? He asked. I'm happy. Actually, genuinely happy, and it's terrifying. Why terrifying? Because I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for this to fall apart, for you to realize you made a mistake. Ryan propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at her. I didn't make a mistake. So, this, us, the girls, this life we're building, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even with all the chaos? Especially with all the chaos. Perfect is boring. I'll take messy and real over perfect any day. Olivia pulled him down for a kiss. I love you. I don't say it enough, but I do. I know, and I love you too. Even when you try to organize my sock drawer. Your sock drawer needed organizing. It was anarchy in there. It was fine. It was chaos masquerading as fine. They were still arguing playfully when Emma knocked on their door. Are you guys done being gross? Mia and I made breakfast and it's getting cold. Ryan and Olivia exchanged glances. Did she say they made breakfast? I think she did. They rushed downstairs to find the kitchen in complete disarray, flour everywhere, eggshells on the counter, a pan smoking slightly on the stove. But in the middle of the chaos were pancakes. Lumpy, misshapen, slightly burnt pancakes that the girls had clearly made with more enthusiasm than skill. We wanted to surprise you, Emma said proudly. Mia nodded. Like a real family, Ryan felt his throat tighten. Olivia's hand found his under the table as they sat down to eat the terrible, wonderful pancakes their daughters had made. This is perfect, Olivia said, and meant it. And for once, Ryan didn't disagree with her assessment of perfection. Because this, messy kitchen, burnt food, girls beaming with pride, the woman he loved sitting beside him, this was exactly perfect in all its imperfect glory. The morning after this pancake disaster, Ryan found himself staring at a ring he'd bought 3 weeks ago and hidden in the back of his sock drawer. The newly organized sock drawer, courtesy of Olivia's need for order in all things. He'd been carrying the idea of proposing around in his head for months now, but actually doing it felt like standing at the edge of a cliff without knowing how deep the water was below. They'd been living together for 4 months, dating for 8, known each other for over 3 years. By any reasonable metric, this should feel rushed. But nothing about their relationship had followed a reasonable timeline. They'd gone from colleagues to co-parents to partners in a matter of months, building a life together out of necessity and choice in equal measure. The question wasn't whether he wanted to marry her. He'd known that for over a year. The question was whether she was ready for that kind of permanence, that kind of declaration. Olivia had spent most of her life avoiding commitment, building walls, keeping people at a safe distance. She'd let him in, let them all in, but that didn't mean she was ready for marriage. Dad? Emma's voice came from the doorway. Why are you staring at your socks like they're going to tell you the meaning of life? Ryan quickly closed the drawer. Just thinking. About Olivia? Why would you think that? Emma gave him the look, the one that said she was 7 going on 30, and not buying any of his deflection. Because you always get that face when you're thinking about her, like you're happy and scared at the same time. When did you become so perceptive? I've always been perceptive. You just notice now because I use bigger words. She came into the room, climbing onto his bed. Are you going to ask her to marry you? Ryan's heart skipped. What makes you think that? I found the ring box when I was looking for my purple socks last week. Don't worry, I didn't tell anyone. Not even Mia. She swung her legs thoughtfully. So are you? There wasn't much point in lying to his daughter. I want to. I'm just not sure if it's the right time. Why not? Because it's complicated. Olivia's been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. What if she's not ready? Emma considered this seriously. Did you ask her? Not yet. Then how do you know she's not ready? Maybe she's waiting for you to ask. Or maybe she's perfectly happy with how things are and doesn't want to change anything. That's dumb. People who are happy with how things are don't look at you the way Olivia looks at you. How does she look at me? Like you're the answer to a question she didn't know she was asking. Emma hopped off the bed. You should ask her, but make it good. Mia and I have been planning your proposal for weeks, and we have ideas. You and Mia have been planning my proposal?
Obviously. Someone has to make sure you don't mess it up. She paused at the door. For the record, we vote yes on getting married, just in case you were wondering if we'd be okay with it. After Emma left, Ryan sat there for a long moment holding the ring box. His 7-year-old daughter was right. He was overthinking this, letting fear make decisions that should be driven by love. He'd ask, soon. He just needed to find the right moment. That moment didn't come for another 3 weeks, and when it did, it was nothing like he'd planned. It started with Mia's school calling, not Emma's school this time, which should have been a relief, but somehow wasn't. Olivia took the call in her office, her face going pale as she listened. "I'll be right there," she said, already grabbing her keys. She stuck her head into Ryan's office. "Mia's having a panic attack. The school can't calm her down. I have to go." "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." "I'm coming." They made it to the school in record time. The principal met them outside the counselor's office, her expression sympathetic. "She was fine during morning lessons," the principal explained. Then during art class, they were doing a project about family trees. Mia tried to participate, but when the teacher asked her to talk about her family, she just shut down. Started hyperventilating, couldn't catch her breath. "We called you immediately." Through the window of the counselor's office, Ryan could see Mia curled up in a chair, her knees pulled to her chest, rocking slightly. The counselor was keeping a respectful distance, talking softly, but Mia wasn't responding. Olivia opened the door carefully. "Mia, sweetheart, it's me." Mia's head shot up. Her face was blotchy from crying, her breath still coming in short gasps. I didn't know what to say." "It's okay. You're okay." Olivia crossed the room, kneeling in front of her. "Can you look at me? Can you match my breathing?" It took several minutes, but eventually Mia's breathing slowed to match Olivia's exaggerated inhales and exhales. Ryan stayed by the door, giving them space but ready to help if needed. "I'm sorry," Mia whispered when she could finally speak properly. "I ruined everything." "You didn't ruin anything. You had a hard moment. That's allowed." "Everyone was staring at me." "Then everyone can mind their own business." Olivia brushed hair back from Mia's face. "Do you want to tell me what happened?" Mia's voice was so small Ryan had to strain to hear it. "Mrs. Peterson wanted us to draw our family tree, to talk about our parents and grandparents and where we come from. And I didn't know what to put, because my mom is dead, and I don't know who my dad is, and my grandparents don't want me, and—" Her breath hitched again. "And you're not really my mom, you're just my aunt, but you're the only person who acts like a mom, and I didn't know if I was allowed to put you down as my mom or if that was lying." Ryan watched Olivia's face crumble for just a second before she pulled herself together. "Listen to me," Olivia said, her voice fierce and gentle at the same time. "I am your mom. Maybe not biologically, maybe not in the way most people define it, but in every way that matters. I'm the one who makes your lunch and helps with your homework and sits with you when you have nightmares. I'm the one who loves you unconditionally, who will fight anyone who tries to hurt you, who will be here every single day for the rest of your life. So yes, you are absolutely allowed to put me down as your mom, because that's what I am." Mia stared at her with wide eyes. "Really? Really? And Ryan and Emma? They're your family too. We all are. Blood doesn't make a family, Mia. Love does. Choice does. Showing up does. And we choose you. Every single day we choose you." Mia launched herself at Olivia, sobbing into her shoulder. "I choose you too. All of you. I want us to be a real family. We already are a real family, baby. We already are." Ryan had to turn away, his own eyes burning. The counselor was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Even the principal looked emotional. They took Mia home after that. She was exhausted, wrung out from the emotional storm. Olivia called work and told them she wasn't coming back for the day. Ryan did the same. They picked up Emma from school early, not bothering to explain why, because some things were more important than perfect attendance records. That evening, they all ended up in the living room together. The girls were curled up on the couch watching a movie they'd seen a dozen times. Olivia was in the kitchen making hot chocolate, and Ryan was helping in the way that mostly meant staying out of her way and handing her things when she asked. "Today was hard," Olivia said quietly, watching the milk heat on the stove. "Yeah, but also clarifying. I've been avoiding calling myself her mom because I didn't want to overstep, didn't want to replace her mother. But her mother is gone, and I'm here,
And at some point, I need to stop qualifying my relationship with her and just own it.
You're her mom. You have been for a while now. I know. I just needed to say it out loud, to claim it. She turned to look at him. We're a family, Ryan, a real, actual family, and I want to make that official. Ryan's heart stopped. What are you saying?
I'm saying that I love you. I love Emma. I love the life we've built together, and I want it to be permanent. Not just living together, not just co-parenting, but actually, legally, officially, a family. This was it, the moment he'd been waiting for. Ryan pulled the ring box from his pocket. He'd started carrying it everywhere, just in case, and set it on the counter between them. Olivia stared at it. How long have you been carrying that around? 3 weeks. I was waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment? After Mia had a breakdown at school and we all had a collective emotional crisis? This is perfect. Because this is us. We don't do romance and rose petals. We do real life and hard moments and showing up for each other when things fall apart. He opened the box, revealing a simple silver band with a small diamond. Marry me. Not because it's logical or the next step or what people expect. Marry me because I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life building this beautiful, messy, complicated family with you. Olivia's hands were shaking as she picked up the ring. I have no idea how to be a wife. Good thing I have no idea how to be a husband. We'll figure it out together. We have 2 traumatized kids who need stability. So let's give them stability. Let's show them what commitment looks like. I'm going to be terrible at this. I'm going to work too much and forget anniversaries and probably mess up in 1,000 ways you can't even imagine yet. And I'm going to be too easy on the kids and leave dishes in the sink and probably drive you crazy with my terrible organizational skills. We'll be terrible together. Sounds perfect to me. Olivia laughed, tears streaming down her face. You're supposed to tell me I'll be a great wife. You'll be a real wife, which is better than great. That's the worst proposal speech ever. Is it working? She slid the ring onto her finger. Yeah, it's working. Yes, absolutely yes. Ryan kissed her there in the kitchen, with hot chocolate threatening to boil over on the stove and their daughters in the next room, probably hearing every word. When they finally broke apart, Olivia was smiling so wide it looked like her face might break. We're getting married, she said, like she couldn't quite believe it. We're getting married. The girls are going to lose their minds. Emma already knows. She found the ring weeks ago. Of course she did. That child is terrifyingly observant. Olivia rescued the hot chocolate, pouring it into 4 mugs. Should we tell them now? Probably before Emma burst from keeping the secret. They walked into the living room carrying mugs. Emma took one look at Olivia's hand and shrieked loud enough to wake the neighbors. You said yes! You actually said yes! Mia, they're getting married. Mia looked up from the movie, her eyes still red from earlier but widening with surprise. Really? Really, Olivia confirmed. We're going to be an official family, legally and everything. Does that mean Ryan's going to be my dad? Ryan hadn't expected that question. He knelt down beside the couch. Would you want that? For me to be your dad? Mia bit her lip. My real dad left before I was born. He didn't want me. But you chose to be here. You chose all of us, so yeah, I think I'd like you to be my dad, if that's okay. It's more than okay. It would be an honor. Emma was already planning. Can we be flower girls? Please say we can be flower girls. And can we get a dog after the wedding? Married people always get dogs. One thing at a time, Olivia said, but she was laughing. Yes, you can both be flower girls. The dog is still under negotiation. They spent the rest of the evening talking about wedding plans, the girls throwing out increasingly elaborate ideas while Ryan and Olivia tried to rein in their expectations. But honestly, Ryan didn't care what the wedding looked like. They could get married in a courthouse or in a backyard or on top of a mountain. All that mattered was making this official, showing these 2 girls that family was something you chose and built and protected. That night, after the girls were finally asleep, Ryan and Olivia sat on their back porch looking at the stars. I can't believe this is my life now, Olivia said quietly. 2 years ago, I was alone in a condo, working 80-hour weeks, convincing myself that success was enough. And now I have a daughter, and a stepdaughter, and a fiancé,
and a house that's constantly messy and loud and full of life. How did this happen? You showed up for Mia. Everything else followed from that.
No, you showed up for me. You believed I could do this when I didn't believe it myself. You stayed when most people would have run. You loved me at my absolute worst and somehow convinced me I deserved it. Ryan took her hand, the one with the ring that caught the moonlight. You did deserve it. You always did. You just needed someone to show you. I'm going to make you so happy, Ryan Carter. I swear, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this.
I couldn't regret this if I tried. You're it for me, Olivia. You and these kids and this chaotic, beautiful life we're building. This is everything I didn't know I needed. They sat there in comfortable silence, hands linked, watching the stars and listening to the quiet sounds of their neighborhood settling in for the night. Inside, their daughters were safe and sleeping. Around them, a home they'd built together. Ahead, a future that finally felt solid instead of terrifying. The next few weeks were a blur of wedding planning and normal life colliding in ways that were often hilarious and occasionally frustrating. Olivia wanted something small and simple. Emma wanted a princess theme. Mia wanted to make sure there would be cake. Ryan just wanted everyone to stop arguing about chair covers. "It's a wedding, not a corporate merger," he said one evening when Olivia was stress organizing their guest list for the 4th time. "I know, but if we're doing this, we should do it right. We're doing it right by doing it at all. The rest is just details." Emma appeared with a binder that looked suspiciously professional for a 7-year-old's craft project. "I made a wedding planning guide, with pictures and everything. Can I show you?" Ryan and Olivia exchanged glances. "You made a what now?" "A wedding planning guide, with Mia's help. We researched online and talked to Grandma and looked at magazines. We have themes and color schemes and everything." She opened the binder to reveal pages of carefully cut-out magazine photos, hand-drawn diagrams, and notes in Emma's determined handwriting. It was actually impressive, if slightly overwhelming. "This is very thorough," Olivia said carefully. "We want it to be perfect, because you guys are perfect together." "We're not perfect, Bug. You're perfect for each other. That's different." Emma pointed to a page showing a garden venue. "We think you should get married outside, with flowers and lights and not spend a fortune on something that lasts one day," Ryan suggested. Emma deflated slightly. "I guess that makes sense." Mia, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. "What if we did it in our backyard? We could make it pretty, and it would be free, and all of us could help." Olivia looked at Ryan. "That's actually a good idea. The backyard isn't exactly wedding ready. So we make it wedding ready. Between the 4 of us, we can transform it. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be ours." And that's how they ended up planning a backyard wedding with 2 7-year-olds as the primary decorating committee. It was chaos. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely perfect. They set a date 3 months out, giving them time to prepare, but not so much time that they could overthink it. Olivia's assistant helped coordinate vendors. Ryan's mother took charge of the food, insisting that homemade was better than catered. Emma and Mia threw themselves into decorating with an enthusiasm that was both touching and slightly terrifying. "Should we be worried that they're using spray paint unsupervised?" Olivia asked one Saturday afternoon. Ryan looked out the window to where both girls were carefully painting wooden signs for the ceremony. "Probably, but they're wearing protective gear and seem to know what they're doing, so I'm choosing to believe in them." "This whole parenting thing is just a series of calculated risks, isn't it?" "Pretty much, but they haven't burned anything down yet, so I'd say we're winning." Work continued, though both Ryan and Olivia had scaled back their hours significantly. The board at Hayes Technologies had initially resisted Olivia's decision to work fewer hours, but she'd stood firm. "I'm not sacrificing my family for quarterly earnings," she'd told them bluntly. "I've built this company into what it is. I've earned the right to define success on my own terms, and if you can't accept that, I'll find a board that can." They'd back down. Olivia was too valuable to lose, and they knew it. Ryan had taken a different approach, restructuring his role to focus on strategic planning rather than day-to-day operations. It gave him flexibility without sacrificing impact, which was exactly what he needed. "We're really doing this," Olivia said one night, about a month before the wedding.
Building a life that actually works for us instead of forcing ourselves into someone else's definition of success. Terrifying, isn't it? Absolutely. Also kind of amazing. They were in bed, the house finally quiet after a chaotic evening of wedding DIY projects and homework battles. Olivia was curled into Ryan's side, her ring catching the light from the street lamp outside. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Always. I used to think love was a weakness, something that made you vulnerable, gave other people power over you. Every relationship I watched growing up ended in resentment or disappointment, or both. So I decided it was safer to just not try, to focus on things I could control, like work and success, and building walls so high nobody could climb them." What changed? Mia, at first, I couldn't control whether I loved her. It just happened. And then you. You made it impossible not to feel, not to try, not to believe that maybe love didn't have to end in disaster. She propped herself up to look at him. "I'm not scared anymore. Not of this, not of us. I'm all in, Ryan. Whatever comes, we face it together." "Together?" he agreed, pulling her back down. "Now get some sleep. The girls have us scheduled for flower arrangement practice at 8 a.m. They're very serious about this wedding. They're very serious about family. They want it to be official. It already is official, in every way that counts. True, but the ceremony matters too. It's us making a promise in front of everyone who matters, showing Mia and Emma that commitment is real, that family is permanent." Olivia was quiet for a moment. "My parents aren't coming. I called them last week to tell them about the wedding. They said they'd try to make it, but they're very busy with a research project. I'm sorry. I'm not. Not really. I stopped needing their approval a long time ago. I have a family now, a real one. That's enough." It's more than enough. 2 weeks before the wedding, disaster struck. Not a major disaster, but enough to throw their careful plans into chaos. The minister they'd hired had a family emergency and had to cancel. The backup minister was already booked, and somehow, in the stress of everything else, nobody had thought to have a backup for the backup. "We could go to the courthouse," Ryan suggested. "Make it legal now. Do the ceremony later when we find someone." "No, the girls have been planning this for months. We're not changing it now." Olivia was in full problem-solving mode, laptop open, searching for solutions. "There has to be someone who can do this." Emma wandered in, eating an apple. "Why don't you just ask someone you know to do it?" "Because officiants need to be licensed, Bug. So get someone licensed. Grandma said Uncle Pete became one of those internet ministers for his friend's wedding. Maybe he could do it." Ryan and Olivia looked at each other. "Your brother Pete?" Olivia asked slowly. "He got ordained online years ago as a joke, but I think it's still valid." 20 minutes and several phone calls later, they had an officiant. Pete was thrilled to be asked, promised to take it seriously, and only made 2 jokes about how he'd always known Ryan would eventually find someone who could tolerate him. "Crisis averted," Olivia said, closing her laptop with relief. "There's going to be another crisis tomorrow, and another one after that. Wedding planning is apparently just disaster management in formal wear. Good thing we're both excellent at crisis management." She wasn't wrong. Between Ryan's operational skills and Olivia's strategic thinking, they managed to handle every curveball the universe threw at them. The caterer showed up with the wrong menu. They improvised. The flower delivery was delayed. Emma and Mia picked wildflowers from the neighborhood to supplement. The weather forecast predicted rain. They rented a tent. By the morning of the wedding, Ryan was surprisingly calm. Everything that could be planned was planned. Everything that couldn't be controlled would just have to unfold as it would. He'd learned that lesson from parenting. Sometimes you just had to let go and trust that things would work out. Emma knocked on his bedroom door at 7 a.m. "Dad, you awake?" "I am now. What's up?" She came in, already dressed in her flower girl outfit, looking nervous. "Are you scared? About today?" "No. Excited maybe, but not scared." "Really? Because I'm scared." Ryan sat up, patting the bed beside him. "What are you scared of?" Emma climbed up, tucking herself against his side like she used to do when she was smaller. "What if everything changes? What if you and Olivia get married and suddenly everything's different and weird?" "Everything's already different, Bug. We've been living together for months. Olivia and Mia are already part of our family. The wedding is just making it official.
But what if you love Olivia more than me now? Because she's your wife. Ryan's heart cracked a little.
Emma, look at me. He waited until she met his eyes. I love you exactly the same as I always have. You're my daughter. Nothing changes that. Not marriage, not anything. Love doesn't work like a pie where you only have so much and have to divide it up. It grows. It expands. I love Olivia, yes, but that doesn't mean I have any less love for you. Promise? I promise. You were my first priority before today, and you'll still be my priority after. Along with Olivia and Mia, but never instead of them. We're a team now. All four of us. Emma nodded, seeming reassured. Okay, good, because I really like having Olivia and Mia around. I just don't want to lose you. You're not losing me. You're gaining a bigger family, which means more people to love you, more people to drive you crazy, more people to share your life with. When you put it that way, it sounds pretty good. It is pretty good. Now go make sure Mia isn't having a similar meltdown. I need to get ready. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 in the afternoon. Ryan spent the morning helping set up chairs in the backyard, stringing lights, making sure everything was ready. His mother arrived early with enough food to feed an army. Pete showed up in an actual suit, looking almost professional. I can't believe you are letting me do this, Pete said, helping Ryan arrange chairs. Desperate times. Hey, I'll have you know I've officiated 3 weddings and nobody's gotten divorced yet. I'm basically a professional. That's a low bar, but I'll take it. At 3:30, Ryan retreated to his room to get dressed. He'd chosen a simple navy suit, nothing fancy. This wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about making promises that mattered. His phone buzzed. Olivia, I'm nervous. Is that normal? Ryan, completely normal. I'm nervous too. Olivia, you are? Ryan, yeah. Good nervous though. The kind that means something important is about to happen. Olivia, I love you. Just wanted to say that before everything gets crazy. Ryan, I love you too. See you in 30 minutes. Olivia, I'll be the one in white trying not to trip on my dress. Ryan smiled, pocketing his phone. In 30 minutes, everything would be different. Official, permanent. And he couldn't wait. At exactly 4 o'clock, Ryan took his place under the arch. Emma and Mia had decorated with wildflowers and string lights. The backyard had been transformed. Rows of mismatched chairs borrowed from neighbors, paper lanterns hanging from trees, hand-painted signs pointing guests to their seats. It wasn't professional or polished, but it was theirs, built with their own hands and the help of people who loved them. The guests were a small group, Ryan's mother and a few relatives, colleagues from Hayes Technologies, neighbors who'd become friends, and the girls' teachers who'd somehow gotten invited and actually shown up. Pete stood beside Ryan in his suit, looking surprisingly official with a small leather book in his hands. You ready for this? Pete whispered. More ready than I've ever been for anything. Music started playing, something simple that Emma had picked out, and the guests turned. First came Mia, walking carefully down the aisle in her flower girl dress, scattering petals with intense concentration. Then Emma, who caught Ryan's eye and grinned so wide he thought his heart might burst. They took their places on the opposite side of the arch, barely containing their excitement, and then Olivia appeared. She wasn't wearing a traditional wedding gown, just a simple white dress that hit below her knees, her hair down and loose, no veil or elaborate makeup. She looked nervous and beautiful and completely herself. When their eyes met, she smiled, and Ryan felt everything else fall away. She walked toward him without a father to give her away, without ceremony or tradition to lean on. Just her, choosing this, choosing him, choosing the family they'd built together from broken pieces and desperate hope. When she reached him, Ryan took her hands. They were shaking slightly. Hi, she whispered. Hi yourself, you look amazing. You clean up pretty well too. Pete cleared his throat. Should I start, or do you two want to keep flirting? The guests laughed. Emma giggled. Mia rolled her eyes in that way only 7-year-olds could manage. We're gathered here today, Pete began, to witness Ryan and Olivia make their relationship official. I've known Ryan since he was a kid causing trouble at family reunions, and I've gotten to know Olivia over the past few months. And I can honestly say I've never seen 2 people more meant for each other, or more surprised to find themselves here. More laughter. Olivia squeezed Ryan's hands. Marriage isn't about perfection, Pete continued. It's about partnership. It's about showing up for each other on the hard days, celebrating together on the good ones, and building something bigger than yourselves. Ryan and Olivia have already been doing that, raising two incredible girls, combining their lives, proving that family isn't about blood or tradition. It's about choice. And today, they're choosing each other, officially. He looked at Ryan. You want to go first? Ryan nodded, turning to face Olivia fully. I didn't write vows. I tried, but everything I came up with sounded too formal, too rehearsed. So I'm just going to tell you the truth. 3 years ago, I walked into your office thinking I was interviewing for a job. I had no idea I was actually meeting the person who would change my entire life. You were intimidating and brilliant and so clearly alone it hurt to look at you. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. With your determination, your secret softness, the way you fight for what matters. You made me believe in partnership again, showed me that love doesn't have to mean losing yourself. So I'm promising you this, I will show up. Every single day, for the rest of my life, I will show up. For you, for our girls, for this beautiful mess we're building together. I will love you on the easy days and the impossible ones. I will be your partner, your friend, your safe place to fall. And I will never stop choosing you. Olivia was crying now, not even trying to hide it. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing mascara slightly. Okay, my turn. She took a shaky breath. I spent most of my life believing I was better off alone, that needing people was weakness, that love was a liability I couldn't afford. And then Mia came into my life, and I realized I didn't know anything about what mattered. And then you came into my life, Ryan Carter, and you ruined all my carefully constructed defenses. You saw past the walls, past the CEO persona, past everything I used to protect myself. You saw me, the real me, with all my fear and uncertainty and inability to ask for help. And you loved me anyway. You taught me that strength isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to let people in. So I'm promising you this, I will let you in. Even when it's scary, even when every instinct tells me to run, I will stay. I will be vulnerable with you, honest with you, real with you. I will love you with everything I have, and I will build this life with you, one imperfect day at a time. You are my partner, my home, my family. And I will never stop being grateful that you refused to give up on me. Pete was dabbing at his eyes with a handkerchief. Several guests were crying openly. Emma was whispering something to Mia, who nodded seriously. Do you have the rings? Pete asked. Emma stepped forward with a small pillow, looking enormously proud of her ring-bearing duties. Ryan and Olivia each took a ring, simple gold bands they'd chosen together. Ryan, repeat after me, Pete said. I give you this ring as a symbol of my love and commitment. Ryan slid the ring onto Olivia's finger. I give you this ring as a symbol of my love and commitment, also as proof that I can actually organize something without your help. Olivia laughed through her tears. That's not part of the script. Should be. Your turn. She slid his ring on, her hand steadier now. I give you this ring as a symbol of my love and commitment, and as a reminder that you're stuck with me now. Wouldn't want it any other way, Pete smiled. By the power vested in me by the internet and the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Ryan, kiss your bride before she changes her mind. Ryan pulled Olivia close and kissed her while their daughters cheered and the guests applauded. It wasn't a perfect kiss. They were both laughing too hard. But it was real and joyful and theirs. When they finally broke apart, Emma and Mia rushed forward, hugging both of them in a tangle of arms and flower girl dresses. We're officially a family now, Emma said. We were always a family, Bug. Now we just have paperwork to prove it. The reception was simple. Tables in the backyard, food spread out buffet style, no formal dances or speeches, just people eating and talking and celebrating. Ryan's mother cornered him at one point, tears in her eyes. I'm so proud of you, she said. Your father would have loved her. I think so too. And those girls. You've built something beautiful here, Ryan, something real. He looked across the yard to where Olivia was talking with colleagues, Mia tucked against her side, Emma showing off her flower girl dress to anyone who would look. Yeah, we really have. As the sun set and the string lights came on, Ryan found Olivia standing at the edge of the yard, watching everything with a soft smile. You okay? he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Better than okay. This is perfect. Not perfect, but real perfect. I know. She leaned back against him. I never imagined this. Any of this. A year ago, I was alone and convinced that was how it had to be. And now I have a daughter, and a stepdaughter, and a husband. A husband, Ryan. I'm somebody's wife. And I'm somebody's husband. Equally terrifying. We're going to mess this up sometimes. Absolutely. But we'll mess it up together, and that makes all the difference. Emma and Mia ran up, breathless from chasing each other around the yard. Can we have cake now? Emma asked. Please? Mia added. We've been waiting forever. Olivia laughed. Yes, let's have cake. They gathered everyone around the small two-tier cake Ryan's mother had made. Simple white frosting with fresh flowers on top. Emma and Mia insisted on helping cut the first slice, which resulted in frosting everywhere and nobody caring even a little bit. Later, after the guests had left and the girls had finally crashed from sugar and excitement, Ryan and Olivia sat on their back porch surrounded by the remnants of the celebration. We should probably clean this up, Olivia said, looking at the scattered chairs and leftover decorations. Tomorrow. Tonight, we just sit here and enjoy being married. Married. That's going to take some getting used to. Ryan took her hand, the one with both rings now, engagement and wedding band together. We have the rest of our lives to get used to it. The rest of our lives, that's a long time. Not long enough. They sat there in comfortable silence, listening to the sounds of their neighborhood settling in for the night. Inside, their daughters were sleeping safe and loved. Around them, a home they'd built together. Ahead, a future that was uncertain but no longer lonely. Ryan? Olivia said eventually. Yeah? Thank you. For seeing me when I was invisible. For staying when I pushed you away. For loving me enough to show me what family could be. Thank you for letting me in. For trusting me with your heart. For building this life with me. She kissed him softly. No more thank yous. We're partners now. Equal investment, equal reward. Deal. Though I'm pretty sure I got the better end of this arrangement. Not possible. I definitely won. They argued about it playfully until Olivia yawned so wide her jaw cracked. Bed? Ryan suggested. Bed, but fair warning, I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow convinced this was all a dream. Then I'll be there to remind you it's real, every morning, for the rest of our lives. And he was. Through the mundane mornings and the chaotic ones, through parent-teacher conferences and dance recitals and teenage years that tested every ounce of patience they possessed, through career changes and health scares and all the ordinary disasters that make up a life, through moments of pure joy and seasons of grief, through the times when love felt easy and the times when it required every ounce of determination they had. They showed up for each other. They chose each other. They built a family not on perfection or tradition, but on commitment and grace and the stubborn refusal to give up when things got hard. Years later, when people asked how they made it work, Ryan and Olivia would exchange glances and smile. Because the truth was simpler than anyone expected. They'd stopped trying to be perfect and focused on being present. They'd let go of the idea that family had to look a certain way and embrace the beautiful mess of what they'd actually built. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.